Coming up, Philip Rivers, #2 in the country in total offense in his freshman year, already more than 1,000 passing yards. We'll meet him coming up.
This kid can't be 18 years of age.
College Football Tonight is presented by Gateway. In Gateway Country, people rule.
We are counting down to ACC football. NC State, Georgia Tech. It dates back to 1918 when John Heisman's Jackets beat State 128-0. Hasn't been that lopsided lately, but Georgia Tech has won the last 5 and has exploded offensively in the last 2 meetings. Young man for NC State, a precocious teenager, hopes to reverse that trend tonight. With more on him, we go down to Raleigh and Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc?
Thank you very much, Chris. You know, last year when Alabama High School Player of the Year Philip Rivers arrived here in Raleigh last January, 1 month after his 18th birthday, some of the upperclassmen on this Wolfpack football team nicknamed him the Kid. But after shattering numerous school and conference passing records as a freshman, they know him now simply as the Man. An 18-year-old quarterback leading the Wolfpack down the field.
I tell people he's 18 going on 28.
But he's so far ahead of what you would normally expect a freshman to be like. So and plus that, he's fun and he's enjoyable and he's respected very much by the other players and by the coaches.
That's just the way I am. That's just the way I've always been as far as I wanted to kind of be the boss.
Rivers.
They all know I'm not trying to come in and tell them what to do. It's just me wanting this team to win and trying my hardest.
Touchdown, North Carolina State!
His demeanor. In spring, he was the leader. I mean, here's a kid who hadn't been on the campus for a month and a half, and he was the leader of our offense.
I think he makes us better as a team. Just stepping in and being the impact he is as a freshman, that helps us.
He has that intangible that's hard to describe that great quarterbacks have. Now, whether he's able to fulfill that and reach that maturation point, you know, again, we don't know.
Being the son of a coach hasn't hurt.
He's a tremendous dad. He's a dad, so he takes great pride in what his son does. He's a very good support person.
They're best of friends. Not only are they father and son, coach and player, but they're the best friends.
Our family's a real close family. It's kind of, we always say it's a football family, just because he's coached forever, and that's all I wanted to do is play forever.
And the closest that we had as a father and son even grew more when we were out there on the field together as coach and player. And you know, it's just been wonderful.
He wanted to move closer so he could be able to come to the games. If he was in Alabama, it's an 11-hour trip every Saturday. That just doesn't work real well.
Going to the games were just, you know, we wouldn't swap anything for it. But what was really special last week, we got to come over Sunday, and we spent the day, went to church together and spent the afternoon, you know, and that was what was special.
They probably haven't missed a game I've ever played since I was 5 years old. And so it's, you know, it's always good to just know that they're here.
We just enjoy seeing him live his dream, and right now he's doing that.
You know, despite the fact that Philip Rivers is a coach's son, you know, his throwing motion has been described as everything from unconventional to unorthodox to downright ugly, which may explain why a number of SEC schools recruited him as a strong safety. You'll see later tonight, it's like he steps off the curb with his front foot and brings the football up very close to his side. For Kirk Herbstreit, it's not how he throws it, but where and when he throws it, and how he handles everything else around him that's made him so successful in his first 3 starts.
Doc, you're exactly right. It's how he handles the pressure. We sat down with him yesterday, and he sat down like a 5th-year senior, sat and talked with us for about an hour. And it is, if you look at his delivery tonight, you're going to think he's throwing the javelin. He does not look like he's the most fluid drop-back quarterback, but he's very accurate, and he's a competitor. And if he can get the Wolfpack into the 4th quarter, he thinks he's got a chance. And, Coach, tonight, though, he's going to see the best defense and the most athletic defense he's seen all year.
And, Kirk, you might see some different defenses. You know, head coach George Orlee from Georgia Tech's defensive philosophy starts off with stopping the opponent's run. And when they've done that, they've been pretty good at it. 20 teams have run under 100 yards rushing, and you know what Tech's record is? It's 17-3, and 2 of those losses to Florida State. Tonight, Kirk, I expect them to stack the line up front, go after Philip Rivers from every angle, and if they don't sack him, hit him, and hit him, and hit him as
Just
many
keep
times as
pounding
they
him.
can.
You know, another way to keep the ball away from him. That's another way to slow him down, and I think they're going to try to do that running the football right at North Carolina State. And also their quarterback, George Godsey, a ton of pressure, filling the shoes of little Joe Hamilton. He's done a pretty good job. He kept him in the Florida State game. He has him at 2-1, 7 touchdown passes, no interceptions. So he's making good decisions. And as we send him back to our colleague, I thought he looked good standing.
Yes,
away from the desk,
Tom Brokaw,
doing a little weather.
Yeah, Tom Brokaw.
Chris?
Yes.
You guys just give me goosebumps when you talk that serious football stuff. We'll see you. Long cross-country flight up to Eugene, Oregon. College Game Day's first ever trip to a Pac-10 campus. UCLA and Oregon plenty on that game. Freddie Mitchell, Deshaun Foster, right outside mighty Autzen Stadium. Now, there is a reason why the Ducks have won 16 straight home games. A reason why they're favored over a team ranked number 8. It is Autzen Stadium. It's small, but it's loud. Bob Toledo knows that. They're practicing on offense where they whisper lineman to lineman to lineman. We'll see if it works on Saturday. The last two have been absolute classics with Duck comebacks falling just short. Right, as you know, this is a hot-blooded rivalry, a lot of personal stuff between coaches, a lot of players in Oregon who felt they were dissed by the Southern California schools. Yep. They get all pumped up. It's a good one.
Yeah, a lot of subplots to this game, but really, it's going to come down to defense. And when we talk about defense in this ball game, watch the matchup with Matt Smith and also Deshaun Foster. Smith can make big plays, and he's done that before, and it's real important that he do that again this weekend. Now, against UCLA last year, watch him in the middle of your screen there, 49. He steps in front of a UCLA pass and just takes it back all the way, which turned around that ball game and gave Oregon a chance to get back into it. But what he really is good at is stuffing the run. Watch him as he steps up, takes on the blocker, gets rid of him, and makes the tackle. So what he's got to do this weekend is make sure that Deshaun Foster doesn't cut back and get big yardage. Chris, if he does that, he's got a chance for Oregon to play pretty good defense.
And meanwhile, for UCLA, Kenyon Coleman, fine defensive lineman, being out really is a problem for them. He's a guy that commands a double team. They won't have to worry about him. Meanwhile, how far have the Gamecocks come from 21 straight losses to 3 straight wins and now hosting the SEC's most intriguing game, a battle of unbeatens, actually favored over a ranked team, Mississippi State. Both offenses will try to flex their muscles, and on second thought, they'll probably just try not to lose the game. Strong defenses, the possibility of some poor weather. Speaking of weather, watching that tropical storm Helene tracking towards South Carolina, that could really complicate things in a game where first down is going to be very hard to come by anyway.
Last year, State won 17-0, and South Carolina held Mississippi State to 9 first downs. No offense. And that this year, they got to get Wayne Matkin to give them some offense under center. Sparky Woods, the offensive coordinator, going back to South Carolina, feels like Matkin has more poise. He's 225 pounds. He knows when to take it down and run with the football. Better decisions. He's also doing a better job, Chris, at dumping off the ball to his backs. DeCenzo Miller here catches the football. So Wayne Matkin is a better quarterback. He's making better decisions. I don't know. This is going to be a low-scoring football game.
He's not playing BYU, though. That tape there is
no, there's going to be a good defense in South Carolina.
Absolutely.
Love to Wayne Matkin.
Gamecocks win that game, they're going to get in the poll. By the way, because it might come into play, the NCAA record for most punts in a game combined, it's 77. It goes back to 1939 centenary in Texas Tech. 21 consecutive punts in that game. It's not going to get quite that high. Chuck Amato, can his team seize the moment against Georgia Tech? It's coming up.
And the Tide cough up the kickoff. Number 13, Alabama shutout.
They not only beat, they not only upset, but they dominate Penn State. You see the frustration.
No, you get the idea. Our market report, these are the stocks that are down. Utah picked my money, win the Mountain West. Colorado may be the best 0-3 team in the country, but that is small consolation with K-State, A&M, and Texas ahead. And then there's Alabama and Penn State. Penn State heading to Ohio State, Alabama heading to Arkansas. It may be too late to proclaim these teams dead. The defenses have been okay, special teams poor, offense is terrible, but it's really what's going on behind the scenes, the friction, the finger pointing, especially down there at Alabama.
Sell the Alabama stock.
Dump it?
Dump it. Get rid of it right now. If you're Arkansas, Arkansas has a chance this weekend because of the situation in Alabama. What happened to this team? Well, I think a couple of things. One, the coaching staff is in chaos. They don't know what kind of offense they want to run. They don't know who's going to call the plays. They can't even agree on who the starting quarterback ought to be, which is the second problem. I think Zhao should have been the starting quarterback on this team. They messed with his confidence. He never was able to make it his team. They don't have a leader, and bringing Tyler Watts around has just really confused the situation. And, Coach, I just got to believe that you wouldn't have done anything like that, would you?
Well, when you go to your second quarterback, you better make sure he's going to do the job, because if you have to go back to the first quarterback, then you shattered his confidence. So it's a tough situation right now.
And Freddie Millens has been playing very poorly. Rumors that he may not start the game on Saturday against Arkansas. Penn State, what's going on there? Are you dumping the stock at Penn State? I mean, one final chance of redemption, or do you dump it?
One more game. Atrocious on offense. 64 yards rushing versus Pittsburgh. Averaged 2.8 yards rushing. If they don't win this football game, because it's the conference game and you point to the conference, then you better get the basketballs out. Or, better yet, the volleyballs.
There are folks close to Paterno that really wonder if you still got the magic to turn this thing around. There are folks up there fearful they might be 4-8 this year. Meanwhile, games that are kind of under the radar, although Miami at West Virginia is certainly a very important game in the Big East. The Canes must bounce back after the off week. The players know the importance. They know the challenge. There's no excuse. Question is, can Ken Dorsey handle the hostile environment of West by God Morgantown, because they will be very loud.
Whoa, you think Seattle was pretty tough.
Worse.
Wait till he gets the low to Morgantown. It's going to be tough down there. You know, and this Miami team is a little bit uptight. You know, the reports out of Miami is Coach Davis a little bit uptight with the media. Why? Well, you know, maybe a little sensitive because Washington out-hit them a little bit. A little talk about maybe having out-coached them some. So Miami not really certain, but Dorsey really is the issue. His second chance to play in a hostile environment, will he be better at it this time? I don't know. It's going to be tough. I like the Mountaineers.
And Santana Moss, Gimpy, Avon Coburn for West Virginia, question mark, but Miami's run defense has to get a lot better. Clemson and Virginia. Tigers have been so impressive at home. Woody Dantzler, one of the most improved players in the country, let alone quarterbacks, but that first road test against Virginia, just keep an eye on that. Kentucky and Florida. Mike believes this might be a trap. The Gators did beat Tennessee. They had some areas of concern. Spurrier, you know, suspending Jabbar Gaffney for his histrionics and trying to send a message to the Stars not to get too self-satisfied right now.
Yeah, don't look ahead to Mississippi State, because you got the Tennessee game behind you. Mississippi State, Kentucky can score points.
Meanwhile, Florida State takes on Louisville. This game could be another victim of that Tropical Storm Helene and that rain. You can tell I was watching the Weather Channel earlier. In between games with Grambling State and Connecticut comes this game with Florida State for Louisville. Think that's a little bit different level of competition? We are counting down to ACC football. There is George Godsey. You watched his brother be a hero Saturday. He'll try to be a hero on the road against NC State coming up.
College Football Tonight is presented by Gateway. In Gateway Country, people rule.
We've mentioned Gottfried still has 2 weeks remaining on his self-imposed suspension against predictions, but you can give us analysis, and Rod, you're free to make a selection if you like.
If he can't talk, I guess I have to. I like North Carolina State a little bit, and Corin Robinson, get a chance to see him. He's a great young receiver, just a sophomore, 4 touchdown catches already this season.
Get this now. Joe Burns will run the ball very well. Georgia Tech will play well.
But that's not quite a prediction.
No, that's not.
They will play well.
They will play well.
I want to see Phillip Rivers. We've seen a lot of freshman quarterbacks play well early in the season, but sooner or later, will it catch up with him? We shall see. ACC loss already for the Jackets, so there's importance here. For NC State, they got to go at Clemson at Carolina. There's importance for them. Let's go to Mike Tirico and crew for the ball game. Mike?
Well, Chris, it starts for Tech with this man, George Godsey. 3 years as an understudy. Now the junior's at the wheel, running a high-powered offense. He has some great weapons, including this man, who may leave Georgia Tech as the Jackets' all-time best receiver. And on the other side, a man who is Godsey's high school teammate. That whole offense will be tested tonight. Here at NC State, there is a new leader of the pack, a guy who goes 100 miles an hour all the time. The only R&R around here is the pass combination. The freshman Phillip Rivers throws to a super receiver, Corin Robinson. You'll see his big-time ability. They may need it. The pack is 3-0, undefeated, but facing its stiffest test tonight, they'll be held by 50,000 fans on Tobacco Road. A sellout in the ACC, and we'll kick it off in 60 seconds.
ESPN's presentation of Thursday night primetime college football is brought to you by Madden NFL 2001 from EA Sports. If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Great atmosphere in Raleigh tonight. Georgia Tech's won the last 5 in this series, but the Jackets are trying to avoid an 0-2 ACC start. It's the conference opener for the undefeated Wolfpack. And we welcome you to the start of the college football weekend with Lee Corso and Kirk Herbstreit, Mike Tirico. Dr. Jerry Punch joins us from the sideline in a second. Tech against State, the last 4 years has been 2 little guys who are great quarterbacks in Jamie Barnett for NC State and Joe Hamilton, Georgia Tech. Their departure and filling their shoes, the biggest question coming into the season. Thus far, both teams with some pretty good answers. Lee, how about Georgia Tech?
Well, Georgia Tech's offensive coordinator, Ralph Friedgen, has put together a complex and exciting offensive package and consists of multiple formations. They used 28 different ones last week. They like the motion, they like the shift, they got all kinds of tricky plays. The leader is quarterback number 11, George Godsey. Now, George has had 7 touchdowns and 82 attempts and no interceptions. And Kirk, the thing I like about him most is that 4th quarter rally against Florida State. He almost beat the Noles. This guy is a competitive football player, to say the least.
Yeah, he never lets up, and his players really seem to respect him. Well, Coach, the story here in Raleigh isn't so much that the Wolfpack are 3-0. It's how they've gotten to this point, coming back in 2 of their first three games in a big way, and also the freshman, the quarterback, Phillip Rivers, and the way he's been able to go out there and lead this team throughout the first 3 games. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards in the first 3. You can see he's 2nd in the nation in total yards per game, and he has outstanding poise. It's going to be tested tonight in a big way against a defense that is much quicker than anything he has seen up to this point. He's a freshman. He's going to make mistakes, but the coaches will hang with him. And Dr. Jerry Punch, I know the players are excited, but his coach, Chuck D'Amato's got to be more excited.
Exactly, Herbie. You know, Phillip Rivers and his teammates firmly believe that first-year head coach Chuck D'Amato will lead them to the promised land in terms of bowl games, conference championships, and even more. And why not? D'Amato has played and coached his way to 11 Atlantic Coast Conference championships. You know, former players say D'Amato will treat you like a son, but he's not afraid to get in your face if he thinks it'll make you a better player and a better person. D'Amato says simply, hey, my name ends in a vowel, so you're not going to out-talk me, and you're not going to outwork me. Mike Tirico, the last time NC State hired a Division I head coach whose last name ended in a vowel, they took a floundering basketball program all the way to the national championship. His name was Jimmy Valvano.
And that special kind of electricity could be around the football program again. George O'Leary, 6th full season, took over part of that 7th season, has never lost to NC State. Humid night here in Raleigh. Chance of showers as the evening moves on. Luc Manger set to kick it off for Georgia Tech, which won the toss, defers the option to the second half. Still coming in, but a sellout crowd of over 50,000 at Carter Finley. We'll watch Corin Robinson take a knee, and the drive starts from the 20 for North Carolina State. So here comes Phillip Rivers, who was the high school player of the year in Alabama last year and has come in as a very good quarterback, 2nd in total offense in the country. The skilled players around him, Corin Robinson, the wide receiver, jumps out. Unrelated, Ray Robinson, a running back, starting to get that look again. He was the ACC Rookie of the Year a couple of seasons ago. Willie Wright's the tight end, but really acts as a wide receiver in this offense. As you watch North Carolina State, think BYU's offense, a lot of short passes. The offensive coordinator now here is Norm Chow, who ran the BYU offense. Corin Robinson on a reverse on the first play, and he's pulled down. Just a yard gain off the end comes Nick Rogers to make the stop for Georgia Tech.
Mike, in the first 3 football games, North Carolina State has opened up with Corin Robinson, Kirk, deep. Now, what they've done here is Norm Chow told me before the game that he wants to run a reverse play because Georgia Tech has a tendency to flow real fast. Nice call, even though it didn't work. It keeps the pressure down from that reverse and also keeps that pursuit down.
Ryan Peterson and Eric Leak getting sorted out as you see Robinson back in the backfield, and now Corin Robinson, the receiver, comes to the near side. Rivers to throw, nobody open, and he'll go down. Won't be a sack as he'll actually gain about a yard on the play. It'll be 3rd and 8. Blocking form led by Jarvis Borum, who's lost 30 pounds, but still weighs in at 323. The center and right tackle are substituting for injured players. Kirk, the front four for Georgia Tech, pretty good speed on those corners, huh?
Well, they're going to have to get pressure from the defensive ends. Greg Gathers and Nick Rogers, both guys can apply pressure, and with a young quarterback back there, look for them to really pin their ears back and come after him.
It's going to be 3rd down and 8 for North Carolina State, which has some personnel issues. There's 4 on the play clock. A 3rd receiver came in after the play was called in the huddle. And Rivers off the corner, still gets it away, and the pass is incomplete. There was some of that speed rush for Georgia Tech, getting it done. Really brought down by Darryl Smith, a backup linebacker, who's moved to the middle linebacking starting spot, replacing Matt Miller, along with Ather Brown and Ricardo Wimbush. And in the secondary, Jonathan Cox, a freshman, gets the start. Marvius Hester back from a hamstring injury. The safeties are very good as well. 4th down punt for North Carolina State by Austin Herbert, freshman. Picked up by Will Glover. Eludes Corin Robinson, but can elude LeVar Fisher and Bobby Moore, who are down for the stop. No return after a 39-yard punt. The quarterback for Georgia Tech is George Godsey. His brother Gary, quarterback for Notre Dame now. Solid, not spectacular, and intelligent junior. Behind him, Joe Burns comes back after missing most of 99 with an ankle injury. Wilder is banged up, won't see him for many snaps. Kelly Campbell is a big play receiver. Georgia Tech moves on virtually every play before the snap. Play action pass for the tight end Russell McVay across midfield and past our ESPN 1st and 10 line. 11-yard pickup. Let's check out the men blocking for the Georgia Tech backfield. An offensive line is led by the senior Chris Brown, a 3-year starter from Augusta, Georgia. Schmidjall, I should say, is a former walk-on who's become a pretty good football player. This NC State defensive line only has 3 sacks in 3 games. The strongest man on the team is Jeff Fisher. He's the captain of the defense, number 90. 1st and 10, and a couple of yard run on 1st down. Out of the backfield with Joe Burns. We'll share time with Sean Gregory in that backfield. Check out the rest of the defense for Georgia Tech. 44 is pretty good, Lee.
LeVar Fisher was the leading tackler last year. Got quick, always around the football, Kirk, and I love the way he gets to the ball.
Key man back here in the secondary is number 1, Adrian Wilton, will have responsibility both pass and run against this Georgia Tech offense that shows you a lot and does some other things, including a little mix of the option. And that is Gregory taking it just shy of the 40. Down at about the 42. Sean's a junior. Carried 18 times thus far this season. Averages 3 per. Picked up about 6 there.
Gregory has great speed, and Georgia Tech, one of the things now with George Godsey, a quarterback, not the flash of what we've seen in the past with Joe Hamilton, but he is very consistent and understands what Ralph Friedgen wants out of the offense.
Interesting. 5 different plays.
5 different formations, too.
Yeah.
3rd and 2. They run Burns for the 1st down to the 38-yard line, where his forward progress will be marked.
We talked about it in the opening. They have not used the same formation twice in a row. This time, they used an unbalanced line to get North Carolina State to move over and came back to the weak side. Kirk, Ralph Friedgen right there is one of the offensive coaches, I think, in the country that has the best mind. But he's a great teacher also, isn't he?
Outstanding. He demands a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work. You got to prepare hard as a player, but it pays off on the game.
Wilder, who's battled knee injuries, is the fullback in motion. And on 1st down, Godsey to the air. Out of bounds for 8 yards with Will Glover, the sophomore receiver. He and Godsey went to the same high school, Jesuit, in Tampa, Florida.
See, if they can control the line of scrimmage and mix things up, running a little option, a little bit of power, then they can really go to their weapons because they have tremendous skill on the outside. Glover here, look at the cushion that Glover has against Brian Williams, able to make a play and get up. That eventually they're going to bring those corners up, and they have the speed to go by them as well.
2nd and 1. Burns. LeVar Fisher stands him up. Adrian Wilson brings him down. That's not Fisher, it's D'Antonio Burnett, 45 in on the tackle in the middle linebacker spot. 3rd down coming up. Burnett, a sophomore, got a lot to do as the middle linebacker when Ralph Friedgen is the offensive coordinator on the other side.
One of the opponents said of Ralph Friedgen the other day in the SEC, he's like a baby Steve Spurrier. Great combination there, Spurrier and Friedgen.
3rd and 3, they run the fullback, touchdown! Joe Burns into the fullback spot. Busted up the middle for 31 yards. The unpredictable nature of this offense, Burns, who's normally the tailback, lines up in the fullback spot.
Watch the blocking up front. Look at a good cutback there by Burns. And once he gets through there, you can see that the guard and the center were pushing everybody over to the left, and Burns did a good job, good vision there to cut that back as it was designed to cut back for the touchdown.
Well, let me tell you, my friends, Ralph Friedgen makes $200,000 a year. He's the highest paid assistant in college football. And that drive showed you why he was worth every penny and maybe more.
One of the things that we saw last year, the last few years under Georgia Tech, is the triple option. I want you to watch this man and watch the guard not even touch him. This is a true triple option that we've seen from Joe Hamilton. Quarterback guts, he reads it. The defensive tackle stays wide. He gives it to Burns, and Burns cuts it up, actually on the wrong side of the guard there.
Absolutely. That play was designed to go over the left guard like you drew it, but Burns saw it and cut it back. The key thing on that one, Mike, is they slipped Joe Burns in at fullback, and he all the way for a touchdown.
Kind of taking the role that Ed Wilder had previously, but since he's banged up and can't play as often, Burns has the ability to play both the running back and the fullback.
Luke Monge, who added the extra point, will kick to Julius Patterson, backup free safety, and Corin Robinson. Georgia Tech up early, 7-0, and we expect lots of points tonight. Chased down by Julius Patterson, up the sideline. Oh, it's a good thing. And he was yanked out of bounds at the 30 because he had an open lane there. Well, College Game Day makes its first ever trip to Eugene, Oregon, where UCLA Oregon's the big game of the week. That's at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. Then a Big Ten doubleheader. Minnesota will take on Purdue. Boilermakers coming off the loss to Notre Dame. And Michigan will take on Illinois in Champaign. The Big Ten in prime time. Great doubleheader Saturday on ESPN. Philip Rivers very used to this situation. NC State trailing as they did in their first 2 games. Rivers is not the most mobile quarterback in the history of creation, and he gets a couple of yards there. To the 22. Greg Gathers, the starting right end, made the play.
Tremendous amount of pressure on Philip Rivers. A lot of talk here in town about what he's doing along with Chuck Amato with this offense, and now all of a sudden he has a chance to be seen all across the entire country, and he's going up against the best defense that he has seen all year, with defensive ends and linebackers that are going to get after him and pressure him.
He faces second down and a toss to Ray Robinson. Robinson only had 6 carries for 11 yards, and Ricardo Wimbush greets the junior after a couple of yards there.
That defensive lineup was perfect, you guys, because of George O'Leary's theory of stopping the run first. He had 8 guys in the box to stop that run and then forcing them to pass. Ted Roof might call the defensive signals, but George O'Leary has been famous for being its defensive coordinator himself.
Standing defensive line coach in his early college days, needing to get to the 39. Greg Pop is a first down pass to Brian Peterson at the 42. The sophomore in state from Clinton, North Carolina, catches the Philip Rivers pass.
What North Carolina State needs to be able to do, you see the receiver coming in motion, is be able to take advantage of man coverage here. Brian Peterson, who's kind of a possession guy, finds the stick, sits very softly right in front where he can get in front of the defense and picks up the first down. And a nice job there by the quarterback of sitting back with the pressure, getting right on it.
That's also BYU's favorite play. Yep. And Norm Chow was at BYU for over 20 years calling the plays.
Robinson left, got a block from Corin Robinson, and gets to the 49-yard line. 5 extra yards there because of the block thrown by the sophomore wide receiver, Corin Robinson, who lined up to the left.
Ray Robinson has 210 yards rushing this year. And they told me at North Carolina State that he has 105 of those, or 50% after somebody touches him. And here's a perfect example right there. The guy gets a hold of him, he still makes 4 yards more. Great runner, big-time player, Ray Robinson.
5'10", just under 200 pounds, and in motion. Empty backfield. It is Ray Robinson. Stopped right at the ESPN 1st and 10 line. Aether Brown, the redshirt freshman and linebacker out of Macon, Georgia, made the play. We're going to have a measurement here. Shocking that we have not heard from the officials yet. These are two heavily penalized teams. Georgia Tech, 11 flags per game. North Carolina State, 10. We haven't had a penalty in the first half of the first quarter.
I think it's amazing just to watch the body language of number 17, Philip Rivers, and continue to remember that he was in high school last December. He graduated early and decided to come to North Carolina State. He enrolled in January, but just to watch him throughout this game, how poised he is. Who knows if he's going to win or lose the game, but for a young 18-year-old, he has tremendous presence about him in the huddle.
He was going to come here when Mike O'Kane was the head coach. O'Kane let go. Chuck Amato hired. Amato's first move after being named the head coach was to go to Alabama and sit with Philip Rivers in his home, and was able to convince him to still come to State and be their quarterback.
You got to give assistant coach Joe Pate a lot of credit. He's the guy that recruited Philip Rivers.
Pate the only holdover from the last snap. Rivers keeping on third and a couple of chain links, and where the forward progress is marked, it's going to be a first down.
One of the reasons that people here in Raleigh are getting excited is because of the way we've talked about it earlier in the show already, the way he's been able to bring his team back in victories here in the second game of the year. Once again, bringing his team back against Indiana in a game that looked like it was going to be over. And they kept fighting and kept battling, and you can see he has a little kind of an awkward delivery there. It's like a javelin push throw, but he finds the receivers downfield, and he's very accurate. And there he finds Corner Robinson late in that game.
That was a 41-38 win in Bloomington, where he tied the school record with 5 touchdown passes. State has scored 120 points in its first 3 games. Rivers eludes the rush on the low for Eric Leak. Can't adjust to the ball. Ball wasn't thrown to the proper side because of the heat on the quarterback, but Leak did break free.
Now, that was one of the first times that Norm Chow, the offensive coordinator, called a bootleg. Kirk, let's show it what it looks like.
He gets to the outside here off of the fake. Now, you can see that he's going to get pressure. Watch him recognize he's able to avoid the pressure there and gets rid of the football. Here he just throws it a little bit behind Leak, but I think the fact that he was able to feel the pressure and avoid it, he's got just enough quickness to get away from it.
They had 12 in the huddle. You saw a player running off, and that's an immediate flag for illegal substitution. Personnel problems are going to cost the Pack 5 yards.
Substitution infraction, breaking the huddle with 12 people, 5 yards.
Andy Vanderveer, one of the tight ends, was in there.
The reason,
they had a dozen.
Excuse me, Mike. The reason that rule is in is because teams used to put 12, 13, 14 guys in the huddle, then break the huddle, and half of them would stop, the other ones go on the field, and it really does. It's a sportsmanship thing.
Disadvantage, unethical, disadvantage to the defense.
No malintent there, just a boo-boo.
Yeah.
2nd and 15. They rush 4 off the hands of Ray Robinson, and almost intercepted. It falls incomplete. That is the correct call. Darryl Smith, the freshman, almost had it.
This is one of the best football plays in all of pro football. They love it when they bring the offensive back like Ray Robinson sneaking underneath the coverage right there. You see him?
Little high route.
Yeah, right? Exactly. What happened at that time, Philip threw that one just a little bit too hard. You got to lay that thing in there, let him catch it, and then run with it. That's the inexperience he has of throwing different kinds of passes.
You can't fault 43 Aether Brown, but he got in the way of Darryl Smith, 51, who had that pick in his hands. 3rd and 15. They need to get to the Georgia Tech 38 to keep the drive alive. And Rivers doesn't like what he sees and takes time out. Georgia Tech scored on its first drive. This is NC State's second. It faces 3rd and 15 when we come back on Thursday Night Football.
ESPN's presentation of Thursday Night Primetime College Football is brought to you by Tostitos. Dig in, kick back, stay all season. And by AXA Advisors. AXA Advisors, building futures.
Victories over Arkansas State, Indiana, and SMU have Chuck Amato starting at 3-0. First head coach since Harry Hartzell in 1917 get off to this kind of start at NC State. After the timeout on 3rd and 15, see how many Tech brings. They rush 5. And Rivers uncorks nowhere. Felt the heat. Good coverage by Georgia Tech. His defense has improved a little bit. It's 4th down.
There's the pressure again from the defensive ends. Georgia Tech now, they have good speed on the perimeter. They are able to cover when they're healthy, and they also can blitz you with linebackers and defensive ends. And there you can see there was a little bit more of a coverage sack, but also maybe a mix-up between Corin Robinson and Phillip Rivers.
Austin Herbert gets away the kick. 35-yarder, fair caught by Will Glover. Georgia Tech will start from inside its own 20. Great weekend on ESPN Classic. It's a classic New York weekend. Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 9 a.m. Mets, Jets, Giants, Rangers, Islanders, Yankees. Great games, the great players like Ruth, Joe D, Broadway Joe, Messier, and Mr. October. For more, 1-800-CLASSIC. It's an ESPN Classic. Classic New York weekend. They did the Classic Michigan weekend last weekend. It was outstanding. 1st and 10 from the 19. And a run with the man who caught the touchdown, ran for the touchdown on the last drive, Joe Burns. He gets 3 to the 22. By the way, Mr. Herbstreit,
yes,
just to update from our conversation about the college football games on ESPN Classic every Wednesday night, 9 to 11.
The highlight of my week, yes.
New change. The new and improved ESPN Classic. No game gets repeated within a 6-month span. Beautiful. So we have full viewing every Wednesday, 9 to 11. A brand new game.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great news.
Pass it along for all the football fans. 2nd down run to the 27 for Sean Gregory. Like the way they use the 2 backs in Burns and Gregory.
Now, Gregory had 150 yards against the University of Central Florida a couple of years ago. The thing I like about him the most, he's nice and compact. 6 foot, 211. Nice play selection there by Ralph Friedgen. He keeps them off balance. Different formations, different guys running the football.
Third down into the line. That's going to be a 1st down. It was Joe Burns that time, the sophomore out of Thomasville, Georgia. And he leaped to where he had to get to, the 29-yard line.
Thing that makes Georgia Tech's offense dangerous is that Ralph Friedgen's been here for a few years, and now a lot of his players, they're very familiar with the scheme. You lose Joe Hamilton, yet you bring back wide receivers that know what he wants. You bring back running backs that know what he wants. Because of this offense is so complex, it helps to have players that are experienced with understanding the schemes and how to attack defenses.
George O'Leary, the head coach, kind of lets Ralph go on the offense. And why not? With the numbers he put up, school record numbers, having Joe Hamilton at the helm last year. Godsey play action. Looking long, downfield. Incomplete. Good coverage by J.J. Washington, the redshirt freshman. He had Kelly Campbell step for step.
You notice how Ralph Friedgen kid kind of lulled to sleep, and all of a sudden he goes up top. But the thing I like the most about J.J. Washington, watch him close right now. They call it closing speed, right, Kurt? The ability to get there real quick and make a nice play on it. I like that ability about him. The guy's only 5'7", but he plays much taller.
He got up there and right at the last second slipped that right hand in there. Nice deflection.
2nd and 10. With the fullback. Not much. Wilder in for the carry, and Brian Jameson, the junior reserve defensive end, made the tackle.
It's going to be interesting here. It's the first time Georgia Tech's been in 3rd and long, and this is what they did such a good job of when they faced Georgia Tech in the 4th quarter. The pressure and dealing with the Florida State defense, and Godsey got time to throw, and he picked apart the Knoll defense.
To get to the 39. Time for Godsey. Incomplete. Terrence Holt came over from his safety spot to knock it away. He's looking for Kerry Watkins. 4th down.
Ralph Regent says Kerry Watkins is playing some of the best football that he's played in his brief career here, laying out. It would have been a fantastic catch. And a good read there by Gotze going over the top of Washington. That was the read. The accurate throw would have had it.
A note here, North Carolina State has blocked 4 kicks in the last 2 games. That's the Florida State mentality Chuck Amato's brought here.
8 coming after Dan Dyke's kick here. Good kick. Got 50 yards worth of kick. Warren Robinson eludes 1 man. And the starting receiver shakes and bakes, but gets only 3 yards. Matthew Etheridge on down to make the tackle for Georgia Tech. Phillip Rivers gets his 3rd shot with the ball. 2 drives, no points thus far. Over 50,000, Carter Finley Stadium, Raleigh, North Carolina. Georgia Tech 7, NC State nothing. Latter stages, first quarter on Thursday Night Football. Rivers to the end. Trouble and brought down again. That's linebacker pressure from Ricardo Wimbush. Boy, they're getting some heat on the quarterback here.
It's the whole goal after hearing so much about a true freshman quarterback. That's almost like just pointing the finger in the face of a defense, challenging them. And you don't think they're excited to have an opportunity tonight to go up against Phillip Rivers, and they're going to attack him. They're going to blitz the linebackers and try to disrupt his timing, and they've been pretty successful so far.
Spread them out now with 5 receivers and no backs. Quick hitter to Corin Robinson. To the 25. Runs back towards the middle where all the congestion was. Felipe Claybrooks made the tackle. Well, Phillip Rivers, the freshman from Alabama, that's his mom, Joan. And the little guys in the family, Stephen and Anna. Stephen in the little ball cap, and Anna, brother and sister, sitting there. Anna on mom's lap. Dad, who is a coach, Steve Rivers, is coaching the JV for the high school where he coaches at. Now here in the Raleigh area, he will be here later tonight. 3rd and 9. Rivers, the dump as a flag is down. The fullback, Derek Roberts, has 1st down yardage, but a flag down at the line of scrimmage. It's a 12 yards if it stands. Georgia Tech player also shaken up on the play. And it's their safety, Jeremy Myers.
On the defense. And lose the time. 1st down.
Jeremy Myers went down in a heap. Don Lowe, the outstanding director of sports medicine at Georgia Tech, is out there to check out Jeremy, whose brother John is a wide receiver on this team. And they're looking at Jeremy's left leg.
Mike, he came up to make a play on the big fullback, Derek Roberts. Roberts lowered the shoulder, and you know, Jeremy Myers will not back down from anybody. He came right in there to make the hit. Looks like he bent over backwards and may have twisted his knee. You can see when he comes up here to make the play, the left leg kind of gets stuck. Watch Roberts, how big hit there, and watch number 27. He'll come here right in the middle of your screen, bend backwards.
Oh, yeah, that left leg.
Left leg, whether an ankle or a knee, something got stuck there.
Fortunately, he's flexible and was down low and was able to bend back. We saw a shot of his brother John, who's watching on the sidelines. A very close brother combination. The only reason Jeremy came to Georgia Tech was because his brother John was already here, and with no weight being applied, he watches his brother, the sophomore, be helped off the field. Jeremy Myers, an important part of those safeties for George O'Leary's defense tonight.
Really the quarterback of the secondary. They call him their most reliable defender, a guy that they know they can count on back there. So hopefully he's going to be okay. Hopefully he can get back in the ball game. In the meantime, Corey Collins, number 4, will replace Myers.
Check him out. One sophomore with a lot of experience is replaced by a relatively inexperienced sophomore in Corey Collins, who started a game last year and had to step in against Clemson's pass-happy offense and played 80 snaps in that game. Sure, he'll be tested before the night's over. Rivers throws to Corin Robinson. That is ruled a catch. About 5 yards.
Now, you can see that Norm Chow says, look, my offensive line cannot stop those great Georgia Tech ends, so I'm going to take my quarterback and move him away from that pressure and throw it on a run. Very, very fine call from Norm Chow to move his quarterback.
You know what hurts this offense, and Norm mentioned this in our meeting, the inability to run the football because of the inexperience in the offensive line. Not a whole lot of balance at this point because they rely so much on throwing the football.
The tight end right, the man in motion. Rivers looking for right, incomplete. You see a lot of passes thrown to the junior Willie Wright. Nick Rogers had dropped back off the defensive end for coverage.
You go back to BYU and Norm Chow, you think about some of their most prolific offenses. It wasn't just the ability to throw. They would also have the balance. Same with Steve Spurrier. You talk about Florida, the offense, how wide open they are. They're also most effective when they're able to run the ball. And here eventually at North Carolina State, they're going to have to be able to run the football more effectively.
And people always say it's the running backs. No, you run with the offensive line.
On 3rd and 6, a lot of Yellow Jackets coming, and Rivers had Roberts slipping out of the backfield. He couldn't hang on. That's the 3rd time tonight. A back has slipped out. There's been a hot one coming at him, and they couldn't hold on to it.
Surprise Roberts dropped that ball. He has 11 catches now on the year, and seems very comfortable for a man that's 240 pounds. Seems very comfortable. It's very soft hands. He would have easily had the first down there if he's able to hold on to it.
9 come after Austin Herbert, who gets the kick away. Freshman from right down the road in Cary, North Carolina. Sees his punt fair caught by Will Glover at the 26. Well, at halftime, Chris Fowler will show you the hidden video for the week. You can go onto ESPN.com and choose the hidden video that you think is the best, whether it was the player of Delaware's halfback Craig Cummings, an all-around great game, Kaz D'Amato, the wide receiver from Chattanooga, or Washington and Jefferson's quarterback Brian Dawson. The last two had 6 touchdown performances. Chris will show it to you at halftime, or if you log on, if you have a T1 line, download the video and watch it for yourself. First down run with Gregory and Sean, the junior for Illinois. Gets it out to about the 35.
We talked in the first 2 or 3 series of Georgia Tech, Ralph Regent, a lot of window dressing, a lot of formations, a lot of shifts, a lot of motion. This is typically right towards the end of the first quarter, into the second quarter, where they begin to be able to develop a better offensive game plan, because now they know what you're going to do when they show you those things, and now he has a better handle on what defense you have planned.
Flag is on Georgia Tech. So the Jackets and Friedgen will be moving back. It's Ralph's second stint running the Georgia Tech offense as the coordinator. 9 years in total. Here for 5, then gone, and back now for his 4th year in this stop. He spreads him out with 4 receivers. Play action with Gregory. And the pass to the back end of the backfield. Stopped at the 36. It's LeVar Fisher, the weak side linebacker. After a pickup of 16, getting close to the first down.
The reason why this play works so well is that Ralph, and the offensive genius he is, sends everybody deep. Watch, everybody goes deep, except he sneaks the back out right there for the little dump pass. The reason why that play works so well is, remember that long pass they threw earlier? Everybody, Kirk, dropped off deep with those wide receivers and sneaks the guy underneath.
They have to respect the speed of Watkins and Campbell and Glover. They can get downfield in a hurry.
2nd and 1, mishandled the snap to George Godsey. The exchange with David Schmidjal, the center. He fell back on it. It'll be 3rd down for George. As we told you, his brother Gary, now the quarterback at Notre Dame after the Arnaz Battle injury. There are his parents, John and Barbara Godsey, who are doing a lot of commuting these days, back and forth between where Notre Dame plays and where Georgia Tech plays, or when they're playing on the same Saturday, one goes one, and one goes to the other. They work out nice here Thursday, Saturday, Thursday in Raleigh, and over the weekend they'll be in East Lansing. Notre Dame plays Michigan State. Their son throws 3rd and 2 for a first down to Will Glover. Hit from behind by Edric Smith, but across midfield, a flag comes in well away from the play. 17 if it all stands.
That's a 16-yard gain. There's a flag down.
5 yard, face mask, on the tackle, 10 last from the end of the run. First down.
Two teams that usually absorb a lot of penalties, mostly flag-free thus far. 53-year-old Chuck Amato sees Tech moving it.
That was an automatic.
Yeah.
You notice the quarterback right there, Kirk? He's calling for a quick hitch. Works perfectly.
He saw the cornerback off at about 8 to 10 yards, and for again a young quarterback, based on playing experience, showing maturity there to make that check.
And the first quarter comes to an end. Georgia Tech dominated that quarter on offense. 64 more yards than the Wolfpack. George O'Leary's team has jumped out to the early lead. Both teams successful in the air, but on the ground for Tech, where they do their damage. And the lone touchdown was scored by Joe Byrne. Through 15 minutes in the ACC, it's the Jackets by 7 on Thursday Night Football. As we start the second quarter, you see that Georgia Tech dominated the first. North Carolina State unable to run the ball. Just 12 yards on the ground. First and 10, Tech is driving. And Gotze hits it to Gregory. And he is snowed under. Not much for Sean in that carry. At the end of the first quarter, Jerry Punch spoke with George O'Leary.
Coach, you dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. How important was it for you to stop Rivers and company and get some points up early?
Well, I tell you, we're doing a good job there. We just got to cover some of those short passes, and we got to establish the line of scrimmage offensively. Can't have penalties, and just got to keep moving the ball where you got to move it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
George O'Leary, age 54, took over for Bill Lewis now 7 years ago. Gotze steps up. He felt the heat. Spill at the 42. Clayton White up from his strong side linebacker spot for the solo tackle. Third and about 8 coming up.
So far, we've seen very similar attack to what we've seen in the last 4 years with Joe Hamilton under center. Here's what you miss when you lose to Joe Hamilton. The ability to scramble and improvise. There, Gotze able to get back to the line of scrimmage. But if that's Joe Hamilton, maybe he's able to pick up the first down.
That was an awful nice tackle by Clayton White, number 50. He kept his head up, smacked him real good.
Out of the backfield, incomplete. Fourth down coming up. Mom and Dad unhappy with that play. And they watch their son head off to the sidelines, and a punt come up for the Yellow Jackets. So a good stop for the North Carolina State defense, which is coming off a shutout performance against SMU, 41-0. Dan Dyke will try to pin Georgia Tech inside its own 10. 5 of his 11 punts this year inside the 20. This one all the way back. Touchback. Second time that's happened to Dan Dyke this year. And State will take over at its own 20. Well, this is a night to find out what North Carolina State 2000 is about. They're 3-0, but arguably, even they'll tell you, they're not sure how tough the competition was in those first 3 games. The next 4 games will truly measure them, starting with this Tech team tonight.
I think Clemson and Florida State might be too good for this football team, but everybody else on the schedule, Kirk, I think they could beat anybody else, except Florida State and Clemson coming up.
Florida State and Clemson, 2 of the top dogs right now in the ACC, but I think it's because of this newfound confidence that Chuck Amato brought. They believe that they can win these games, and I think that's a difference.
Rivers to Robinson. Ray runs out of the gun. And for a first down across the 30 into the 32. Much needed for the NC State offense, which has done very little the last 5 quarters on the ground.
Well, this is a perfect call because Norm Chow sets it up like he's going to throw it, and he gives it to Ray Robinson. The reason why that play worked, Kirk, is the fact that they showed pass with the offensive lineman. They rushed. You know those guys are rushing hard? Right in between them.
That and Ray Robinson, again, able to break a tackle at the line of scrimmage and pick up that first down.
Eric Bleak, the senior receiver, to the 39. picked up about 6, and here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, sophomore free safety Jeremy Myers on the Georgia Tech bench said the news not too bad. They've checked his knee. They had it taped a moment ago, had him up running around a little bit. He didn't feel like the knee was very stable. They're going to put ice on it, take him in the locker room at halftime, reevaluate at halftime, but there's a possibility of slight. He could possibly come out and play in the second half. Mild knee sprain, left knee, Jeremy Myers.
Well, that's good news. It could have been a lot worse. NC State a little pep in their step offensively. Rivers adjusting for 2nd and 4. Quick shot to Eric Leak. Made 2 people miss. Shot to midfield. Picked up 11 and a first down.
Completely different tempo right now with North Carolina State getting in and out of the huddle. There you see their freshman quarterback, Phillip Rivers, at the line of scrimmage, sees a 2-on-2 advantage that he wants, knows it with the Leak and the quickness that he has. All he needs to do is be able to get his other receiver right there, Corin Robinson, in the way of the defender. And Leak can pick up a first down because of the way he can break tackles and shake them.
Talk about tempo. He had him in and out of the huddle in 7 seconds. Lost the snap there in the exchange with Derek Green. It'll be 2nd and 11. Keegan Weir was the starting center for this team. And both last year and this, early on in the year, Keegan Weir suffered a broken leg. Break of the same leg. So now Green lines up next to Reggie Poole, the right guard, and 73, sophomore out of Charlotte, is the center.
99% of the time, when they bring a linebacker right up there and he can smell his breath, the center has a bad extent. That's exactly what happened that time.
Play action. 2 receivers down there, and one of them's Corin Robinson, who got down on the ground and caught it at the 38. First down, State. Did it in front of Marvius Hesser. Number 3's a man. Number 3 can be a really good receiver.
Number 3 can be in that freak category. He's very gifted athletically. Just needs to continue to develop and become a more consistent receiver. He makes the one-handed spectacular catch, and at times he'll miss the easy one. And that's what the coaches are trying to stress upon him, being more consistent.
Robinson's leading that train up at the top. They run down to the right. Ray Robinson, unrelated, and Darryl Smith comes over and makes the play. Another good one for the true freshman who saw his first action against Florida State. Played well in that game.
Darryl Smith in on the tackle for Georgia Tech. 2nd down.
Here's George. George is a football guy, you know. Just football was priority 1 with George O'Leary. Started coaching out on the eastern end of Long Island as a high school coach, went up to the central New York area, Liverpool High School just outside of Syracuse, was an assistant at Syracuse for a while. Eric Leak reversing the option to Ray Robinson to the 23, and it was a legal pick, according to the officials. First down, State. Leak was a high school quarterback who ran some options.
You can see that he looked very comfortable coming around the end. And watch him take the handoff, and at this point, you can tell he's up to something. Look at that quick fake pitch, cuts underneath the defender with Claybrooks, and then dishes it outside to Robinson. Beautiful play.
That was the old Steve Spurrier ball play.
Play pass. Rivers intercepted. He was slipping on the way down. And Tony Robinson, the defensive tackle, dropping back, put on some heat, and Merrick Watson comes up with the interception. And Mom says, "Oh, son."
Tackle was made by William Brown.
And he knows it too. Sometimes when the heat's coming, you're trying to make a big play, you got to hold on. He's made very few mistakes, just 2 interceptions for all those pass attempts. On the way down with the heat from Ather Brown, he put it up in the air. Watson the interception. Tech takes over.
All right, keep your eye on number 80, Willie, right there. They're going to fake the ball to the inside. The quarterback's going to go by. And my friend, Kirk Herbstreit, look at him.
If he was able to stay on his feet, he could have hook shotted that baby in there for a touchdown.
Pressure, the interception. Tech takes it over. Gotze gives to Joe Burns. He gets across the 25. Quarterback has it back in his hands, and here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, I'm with John and Barbara Gotze, who are the parents of 2 Division I starting quarterbacks. Of course, George here at Georgia Tech and Gary up at Notre Dame. And I got to ask you, Barbara, How do you play it? You got two sons starting quarterbacks in Division I. How do you guys split it up?
Oh, it's really exciting for us. In fact, last week I was in Atlanta to watch George play Navy, and John was at South Bend, Indiana, watching Gary have his first college start.
Michael, come back down this ball.
Okay, Doc, 2nd and 7. Little option. It's Sean Gregory with the first down. Pushed out at about the 40 by Adrian Wilson. Jerry?
John, how special was it for you to see your son, Gary, your youngest son, start for the first time at Notre Dame and upset Purdue up in South Bend last week?
Guys, unbelievable. The whole weekend, the pep rally and the whole work. You saw a dream come true, and then to win the game like he did is just fantastic.
I'm told, George told us today that he and his brother are very, very competitive. They're always trying to one-up each other on the telephone.
In fact, this weekend, George called Gary and reminded him he still had more passing yards than what Gary had last week, even though he won.
All right, Michael, come back down in a moment.
George throws complete. And it is Kelly Campbell with the catch. Doc?
I got to ask you two now, what happens if Georgia Tech and Notre Dame play in a bowl game? How do you do it? How do you split it up?
Well, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to go yell for the offense and hope that they all have a really high-scoring game. I don't know where we'll go or what we'll do. We may just stay home and watch the game from home.
I'm going to stay at home and just watch the offense.
That's because Florida's a community property state, guys. They got to stay home. They just couldn't tolerate being at the stadium together.
Gotzi on the option, a little miscommunication, and LeVar Fisher brought him down, the junior weak side linebacker. Nice to visit with the parents of Ralph Friedgen's quarterback. You know, Jerry brought up the possibility of them playing in a bowl. Notre Dame has an agreement with the Big East that if Notre Dame is bowl eligible but doesn't go to the bowl championship series, they can take one of the Big East spots, which is in the Gator Bowl. And Georgia Tech has played in the Gator Bowl the last 2 years. So it's unlikely Tech would play in that same bowl 3 years in a row, but it is a possibility. George Gotzi, 2nd and 11. It's Gregory out of the backfield across the 40 into the 35. Clayton White made the hit. 17 yards too late. First down.
I love the look of Sean Gregory. He has the most speed of any back in the Georgia Tech backfield. He led Tech in rushing back in 1999. Here he's just going to take it out of the backfield. Gotzi, a good job of recognizing, using it as an outlet. Now watch what he can do in the open field. He makes 3 guys miss him. He picks up 1 block, and he almost slipped by them all and got into the end zone. Nice running back. And Sean Gregory.
Dad's got a little fire in him. Dad played offensive line for the Bear at Alabama, so he knows all about football. It is Joe Burns taking it over the 30 and to the 28-yard line. It's an athletic family. In addition to Gary and George, the older brother, Greg Gotzi, played at Air Force, and it's a very talented family as well. One sister who's a lawyer. Entire family that is outstanding. Mom's a teacher, dad an entrepreneur. Educated and athletic. From the 29, big opening for Joe Burns. In the red zone. At the 17, flag is down, back at the line of scrimmage.
There is a flag on the play.
And I think this is coming back for a hold on the Jackets.
Holding on the offense, 10 yards, spot of the foul, repeat, second down.
Spot of the foul is the line of scrimmage.
They're going to bring this one back, but I love the play calling right now. They're mixing up play action pass. They're running the ball to the outside. They're ripping it up into the middle, making it very difficult, keeping North Carolina State's defense on their heels right now.
What they've done 2 plays in a row, Kirk, is they've run an unbalanced line, Mike, and North Carolina State has not adjusted to it, and they've run right straight at them. The unbalanced line means they put 1 lineman more than normal on one side.
Balanced here with 3 receivers in the I formation. From the 38. The option toss. Gregory takes it down to the 33. LeVar Fisher, Adrian Wilson, the 2 active guys among the top tacklers on this team. Fisher's going to come out for a break. Chuck Amato's defensive unit.
Always talk about closing speed on defense, and that's what LeVar Fisher has as a linebacker. As soon as that ball was pitched, boom, came right up and made the tackle.
3rd and 8 coming. Half a dozen DBs in the game for State. Tech has 4 receivers. Gotzi looking long. Great play by Adrian Wilson. Kelly Campbell was the intended receiver.
Godsey threw an absolute perfect pass. If you watch Wilson, number one, he's playing zone. There's a little crease right there, Kirk, and explosion to the ball makes a great play. That was a wide open play because you had a man short and a man long, and Godsey threw the right spot.
Luke Mange attempting a 50-yard field goal, his career long, 49 against the Wolfpack. Make that 50 against the Wolfpack this year. Luke Mange, the sophomore from Conyers, Georgia, hit a 49-yarder for George O'Leary last year at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. This year, he's good on a career-long 50-yarder. And more than halfway through the second quarter, he's given Georgia Tech a 10-point lead.
ESPN's presentation of Thursday night primetime college football is brought to you by Keystone Light. Always smooth, never bitter. And by Buick and your local Buick dealers.
Georgia Tech has beaten North Carolina State the last 5 years, 4 of them by double digits. They have a double-digit lead right now, 10-0. Carter Finley Stadium, Raleigh, North Carolina. Great to have you on Tobacco Road for the ACC on Thursday Night Football. Dr. Jerry Punch on the sidelines, Mike Tirico, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit. An early touchdown run of 31 yards by Joe Burns, and Luke Mange just connected from 50 yards out to make it 10-0. Good to have you with us for live sports on national television this Thursday night. Philip Newman kicking. Newman kicking for Tech. Corin Robinson from the 3. With an opening. Kicker. Got past him. See ya. Corey Collins had an angle. Corin Robinson to the house, but a flag is down at the 17. It's coming back. It was the last block, and I think Corin Robinson didn't need that block.
Mike, you're absolutely right. When we see this one again, unbelievable. Right there. You won't believe it when you see it.
We have a block in the back on the return. 10 yards. Bottom of foul. First down.
It was Mark Pelshak, the outside linebacker. Chuck Amato's talking to him. Pelshak was hustling down the field, just trying to give the last one for Robinson.
Well, you're going to get a very good look right here. Keep an eye on this and notice that nobody, there it is, a little bit of a chip right in the back. Nobody's going to catch Corin Robinson. Pelshak would love to have that back.
Robinson knew it right away, too. Look at him. You're killing me.
Corin Robinson is one of the better athletes to play wide receiver in all of college football. He just needs to become more consistent, and he will be a special player.
Oh, fake play. It's in the hands of Ray Robinson. To the 12-yard line. It's Thursday night. Bring out everything you got, because everybody's watching.
Mike and Kirk, this is famous for old Bobby Bowden.
Going back to your school here. This is old school.
This is the old punt brewski that Chuck Amato got from Bobby Bowden. What he does is there's a direct snap to the quarterback. He'll snap, sneak it under the guy's hand, and the guy goes around the end. Unbelievable play. It was the old punt brewski.
That was Clemson.
That's right, against Clemson.
And the punt.
Bobby brought it. Amato got it from Bobby Bowden.
Rivers needs to capitalize here. It's knocked down. Incomplete.
Let me show you what this play is like. What happens is the quarterback's sneaking under there, right? And watch this guy right there. He's going to sneak it and slip it under him. Watch. This is like a play we used to use at the ATO house when we had a sorority and fraternity game. Now, number 5, Robinson's going to go on the end.
Right here.
Right there. This is old neighborhood ball right there. That play he got from Bobby Bowden. Brought it from Florida State. Great play.
Philip Rivers' dad has showed up. 2nd and 10, Ray Robinson. To the 8-yard line. 3rd and 6 coming up. Rivers is the son of a coach. And we told you Dad had a high school game, and he hustled on over from his JV game as he's a coach and has arrived to see his son in a familiar position this year, down 10-0.
Remember, North Carolina State can get to the 1-yard line here and get a first down. They do not have to score.
Pressure, and Rivers goes down. Story of the night thus far, Greg Gathers, Nick Rogers, and the pressure up front from NC State, giving Rivers no time. It's a field goal opportunity now.
This pressure from the outside, we've seen it all evening. The defensive ends of Georgia Tech and the inside linebackers are very quick, and they've planned to pressure Phillip Rivers all night. And so far, first half, they've been really getting in the backfield and disrupting the timing of this offense.
Ken Passingham has made 5 of 7 field goals this year, 14 of 21 career. It's a 34-yard attempt. Hang on, he missed it. Missed it. They ran a kick into the end zone for a touchdown. It was called back for an unnecessary push in the back. They had a fake play that they almost scored a touchdown. They come up with nothing. Down 10. North Carolina State looked like it had a couple of opportunities to score in the last few minutes. Instead, the missed field goal by Passingham, who's been an inconsistent kicker his couple of years here. Tech has the ball in a 10-point lead. And Gotze has 4 receivers out there. This is caught for a first down at 32. Catch made by Kelly Campbell, and here's Jerry.
Guys, NC State head coach Chuck Amato's had a motto to begin the year. He said, our motto is going to be to finish. And they had these shirts made, which guys wear underneath their shoulder pads, indicating to remember to finish. And they've certainly done that the first 2 games of the year. They've come from behind and finished strong in the 4th quarter. But this week, Coach Amato said, hey, guys, we got the finishing part down. We need to start. We're not starting very well. We don't have very many points at the beginning of the game. And tonight is another such example.
Same story, Jerry. They were down 17-7 in the opener to Arkansas State, 21-3 to Indiana. Gotze up top. Intended for John Myers, and it goes incomplete. John is the older brother of Jeremy, the safety, who was hurt, injured a knee in the first quarter.
It's interesting that Ralph Friedgen has noticed they've got a redshirt freshman, 5'7", Washington out there. They're trying to attack him deep, Kirk. I like the way that Friedgen uses his people, moves them around, and finds the weak points, don't you?
He does a good job of that, but I'll tell you, J.J. Washington to this point has been holding his own, playing pretty well.
2nd and 10, 3rd consecutive pass. Attempt. Nearly intercepted. It falls incomplete. It was Brian Williams, a playmaking junior corner, who was diving at the pass. As Gotze felt the heat for the first time tonight.
You know, we sat down with the players yesterday. I was really impressed talking to them, and they really believe in the whole finish theory. They are very confident. And because of these first few games where they've been tested, I think initially they didn't necessarily buy into Chuck Amato and all the discipline. But I think because they've seen some of the results, now I think they're starting to say, you know what? We got to listen to what he's saying. He knows what he's talking about.
Because he's been there.
That's right.
He's won.
3rd and 10. Time against the 4-man rush. Incomplete. Sean Gregory couldn't hang on, and punting time for the Jackets.
You know, we talked a lot about Ralph Friedgen. We talked about everything. But Buddy Green, the North Carolina State defensive coach, has done a nice job. He's got Ralph Friedgen now playing on his heels. He's changing his defenses. He's coming after him. I like Buddy Green. He was the former head coach at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. He's one of those AARP guys.
Okay.
Get around, my friend.
Okay. You got his back to him. Take care of him.
Van Dyke kicking. Gets it away. Corin Robinson's going to do a lot of chasing here. Good kick. 55-yard punt. Robinson takes it back to the 20. Well, Dan Dyke, the sophomore from Winter Springs, Florida, with a big leg, gives Phillip Rivers a long field to deal with. No points on the board. NC State ball from the 20. Thursday Night Football continues. Ralph Friedgen, offensive coordinator, Georgia Tech, was unhappy with his wide receivers and the way they were working in the last possession. Words for Kelly Campbell. Will Glover, as George Gotze's team comes back to the sideline. They put up 10 points thus far tonight, leading 10-0. Both teams are playing off the short week. They outmatched their competition. Georgia Tech beat Navy 40-13. NC State beat SMU 41-0. Will Wright, the tight end. first down across the 35 into the 37, but we'd see more of that. We still might as the night goes on.
Willie Wright is really a wide receiver, 6'4", 213, disguised. The motion, Kirk moves the linebacker out, allows the air to go through. That was a nice call by Norm Childs.
Nice disguise there, and you can see the quarterback, Philip Rivers, kind of just...
he learned.
He has that delivery, though. He got it there.
Yeah, but remember, he's hit 2 short receivers by throwing it too hard. That time he kind of like just laid in there. That was a nice call and a well-executed play by Rivers.
Rivers is over at the sidelines as Merrick Watson, the junior defensive tackle for NC State, was shaken up on the play. And the officials did a nice job of stopping the game. Watson will come off. See those little exclamation points at the back of the helmet for a job well done. Well, Phillips done a lot of good jobs thus far here in 2000. Even his pack track and trail on the competition thus far. Watson came off under his own power. After the first down. A lot of heat coming again. Rivers going, well, not down, but it will count as a sack for Ricardo Wimbush. It's the 3rd Georgia Tech sack tonight.
I talked about it at the beginning of the show that Georgia Tech's going to get after Philip Rivers more so than any team he has faced, and you've seen it. The entire first half, Rivers has been hit virtually every time he's dropped back, whether they get the sack or they hit him after the throw, time after time. He knows about that defense, and when you're a young, true freshman, and you feel that kind of presence or pressure, you're going to become more aware of the defense than you are of your own offense.
Here they come again. Incomplete. Brian Peterson was racing back to try to help his quarterback. Young freshman, or see, I don't care if Peyton Manning's back there, he wouldn't be getting these off. He's got to get some blocking help.
He's got to get some help, but I'm talking about when you drop back as a quarterback and you're aware more of the defense, and you become a little bit jittery back there. And I tell you what, up to this point, he hasn't shown that at all. For a true freshman, he's still sitting in there and only moving when he has to.
Remember, George O'Leary's defensive philosophies we mentioned before the show. Stop the run, force a one-dimensional game of passing, and then go after the quarterback. And this is absolutely a perfect script of what he believes in as a defensive coach, George O'Leary.
3rd and 16 as his mom and dad's watch from the stands. Leak dropped it. Eric Leak had it right in his hands, and that is a couple of times now. A few backs, and now the wide receiver Leak didn't hang on to a Rivers pass.
The reason why he drops this ball, Kirk, is you watch him. He's going to look to start the run.
He was going to the end zone.
He was going to the end zone before he caught it and didn't reach out and catch it with his hands. How many times they've taught you to do that, right?
We go over that every time Friday night before we go to bed. Catch it with your hands.
You and I throw it to you in the hallway, motel.
That's right. We work on it.
Austin Herbert got the pressure on. State was in motion. Not a great kick either. 28 yards. See 29 when it gets down there at the 39. Let's see if Georgia Tech will take this or ask for a re-kick.
On the offense.
They have no choice because it's a false start penalty. Works against Tech. Well, our Circuit City Scholar Athlete of the Week is Dan Dyke, the punter from Georgia Tech. Electrical engineering, carrying one of those heavy class loads that the young men at Georgia Tech do, and Lee's got it.
That's
electrical engineering 4-0.
That's all you need to know.
4-0. Wait, see that right there?
Oh, of course you got to.
That's 5 minutes from my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I play golf in Winter Springs.
All right, so it's not the water there.
Nope. It's a beautiful little community.
Very nice, Kirk.
It's a beautiful community.
He was an aerospace engineering program major, had a 4.0, switched to electrical engineering, maintained the 4.0. He's attending Georgia Tech on a President's Scholarship for academics. You are allowed to decline that illegal motion penalty. So it will be first down and take the ball at the 40.
With you, Mike.
I think the official made a mistake, Mike. I'm with you.
First down for Godsey. He steps up, feeling the heat. Gregory was out of bounds when he caught it, or rather Joe Burns. Pass is incomplete. SportsCenter in game comes up at the half, and here's Rich Eisen.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. Many of you may not know there is an Olympics going on. We will have an update from Sydney. Reason why you may not know what's going on is there's a pretty decent AL wildcard race going on. We'll update you on that. And, of course, the ever-popular hidden video segment, all at halftime. Back to you and Mike.
All right, Rich, we look forward to that. You can vote for the hidden video online as well.
You know, Rich Eisen excited about his Michigan Wolverines last weekend.
The offense. Penalty is declined. Second down.
He was, where was he, in Ann Arbor for the Classic, Michigan State, Michigan?
That's right, and Gary Miller was in East Lansing for the Michigan State party.
Well, hopefully for Rich, the Wolves will bounce back this week in Champaign.
I think Rich Eisen was more excited being on that quiz show for ESPN.
Yeah.
He was a star of that show.
Was he?
Yeah.
He's good. He's witty. He's a witty guy.
Number 39, Gotze's pass is good for about 7 yards to Joe Burns. You guys want to say hi to Dan Patrick, Stuart Scott, anybody else? Fowler, you guys want to keep going here?
No, we're good.
You can pick up the phone and call the newsroom if you want to talk to everybody.
No. I just saw Rich pop up
That's
there.
Good. That's right. And listen, don't make fun of that quiz show. I was on it.
I know.
I loved it, man. It was fun. You been on it yet, right?
No, I haven't.
It's really exciting.
I know.
It's on at 7 o'clock on Monday night.
No, I didn't do anything. The guy
to read the questions.
A guy won $30,000 that I was asked.
Don't give it away, Lee. 3rd and 2. First down. Move the chains with the tight end, Russell Matvey. Out of Long Island, Coram, New York. The show hasn't been on yet. Don't give it away.
Well, they should watch it. The guy wins $30,000, and guess what, Kirk? He had twin girls. Twin girls. That's 3 months ago. He was so excited. His mother was excited. His girlfriend, his mother, I mean, his wife.
How about the wife?
It was an exciting
His girlfriend
show.
and his wife were
No,
excited.
just his wife.
Oh, okay.
Georgia Tech can stop it 3 times here. Try to get another score before halftime with 91 seconds left. They're good in this situation. Big ball, Gotze. Picked off, but dropped by Adrian Wilson. It's right in his hands. It's been the story of the first half for North Carolina State.
I just don't think they like the first half. That's all. Their motto is finish, and I think Chuck Amato's onto something when he says start and finish. But Gotze laid that baby up. When you're playing zone defense, you're going to give the safety plenty of time. I mean, Adrian Wilson could have called a fair catch to bring that interception in. That's a ball he's got to catch that.
2nd and 10 for Gotze, who's thrown 18 times in the first half. Screen for Burns to the 32-yard line. It's a first down. Stops the clock with 75 seconds to go, and they'll keep it out here on the field. Save those 3 timeouts.
That was a perfect screen play. If you watch the offensive left tackle right there, he cuts the man down, and the guards go ahead of him. Now, the key of this play was that the offensive lineman stayed up and made good blocks down the field.
Another screen, wide open in the flat for Burns. Nice job pass catching. He gets out of bounds at the 26 with 1 minute and 3 to go. Tech up 10 and all their timeouts.
I'd like to say one thing about Ralph Friedgen in this case. Ralph Friedgen was with the San Diego Chargers for 5 years, 3 as an offensive coordinator. And this is an absolutely perfect drive for the National Football League. They do it better than anybody else.
2-minute offense.
Isn't it 2-minute offense,
Yeah.
Kirk?
Getting out of bounds when they get an opportunity, kill the clock. Still have 3 timeouts.
2nd and 4, stands up against the pressure. It's incomplete. The shoe tops of Will Glover, the sophomore. He and Gotze were on the same high school team for a year. They're a couple of years apart. Jesuit High School in Tampa, Florida. At the 26-yard line, facing 3rd and 4. In the pattern. Incomplete. A couple of times now for Glover. We'll try a field goal of 43 or 44 yards here. Well, they were just moving down the field pretty quick. But John and Barbara Gotze saw their son throw one ill-advised pass and have a couple drop. Mange, a career best 50-yarder earlier in the quarter. High snap. This one from 43 is good. Outstanding job by the holder, Brett Bass. Basquin to get down a high, hot snap. And Georgia Tech adds 3 more to make it 13-0.
Well, I want you to watch this kid, Sean Locklear, number 94. He's a freshman for North Carolina State. I think he's one of the best linemen they have. Watch him come from the top of your picture right there and get to him. I really was impressed. Weren't we, Kirk, yesterday in the films with this kid? He's 6'3", 286 pounds from Lumberton, North Carolina. Mark him down. This kid, Locklear, is going to be a terrific football player for North Carolina State.
And that's the one thing Chuck Amato noticed coming from Tallahassee, where every single year you have defensive ends and defensive tackles. That's the one area where they need to improve most drastically is the defensive front. And at least with having a couple guys up front that are young like Locklear are going to help them in that direction. Got to go down to South Florida to bring in the...
Absolutely, South Florida.
If you want the guys that can run the 4-5s.
Chuck, a outstanding recruiter at Florida State, and especially that Miami, South Florida area where he worked so hard.
Worked his magic down there.
Absolutely. The Sports Center in-game original cores halftime report coming up with Rich. You'll see the wild card story. Wild game at Fenway today. The halftime blitz, hidden video. Chris Fowler, Rod Gilmore, and Mike Godfrey join us at the half. .48 seconds left. Remember the last kickoff, Corin Robinson took back for a touchdown, was called back for a late flag, and this time they kick away from Robinson. And a smart decision to take a knee by Julius Patterson. 13-0 Georgia Tech leading NC State. Your impressions on the first 30 minutes here, guys?
North Carolina State has not been able to run the football. They've only got 50 yards in 16 attempts, and therefore they make it a passing game, and that's when George O'Leary sends those guys after them.
Yeah, but at the same time, they've had their chances. I agree. They need to be able to run the football better to be able to have more of a balanced attack, but they've had the ball and decide Georgia Tech's inside their red zone. They got to be able to score.
Yeah, their last possession was a killer, too. The penalty on the kickoff return, the fake play, you think you're going to use that in a spot where you can build momentum. Rivers has it knocked down, and if there's an untold story in the stats of the first half, it's the play of the Georgia Tech front four. Time for the second time tonight. Greg Gathers knocks down a pass. This was a maligned defense last year. Joe Hamilton and the offense put up 40 points and 500 yards a game, but the defense was very benevolent, gave him back a bunch on the other side of the field. George O'Leary's a defensive guy, and he and Ted Roof went to work on it in the offseason. A different formation for North Carolina State, one they showed on a snap in last week's game, and ends up spread him out and try to beat him up the middle with a Ray Robinson run that goes nowhere. This will be third down with 25 seconds left. Incompletion could force State to punt. Rivers brings to Robinson. First down at the 39-yard line. State will use one of its 2 remaining timeouts with 15 seconds left.
North Carolina State, you guys, might have them just where they want them. Losing 13, going into the half, might Chuck Amato give them the old fiery Italian speech, and they'll be ready. I'm telling you, don't give up on this.
Sportsmanship is about respect. Respect for our opponents and also for the game.
We win by working hard and competing fairly. We give our best at all times.
But when the game is over, we try to show respect for our competitor with a handshake or a pat on the back.
Showing poor sportsmanship hurts the entire team and football itself.
The ACC stresses sportsmanship. Without it, the game is over.
Phillip Rivers at the top of the national stats, although it's very early to start looking at national stats. Still, 356 a game has been very impressive. Only 80 passing yards tonight, and that on 20 attempts. So all the short stuff has been there, and even though Georgia Tech has lost its starting free safety, Jeremy Myers, no home run balls yet. Final 15 seconds, second quarter. Ray Robinson can't hang on, as he was just the safety valve released in the middle of the field. Second down.
It's incredible how quickly Georgia Tech's front. They're not even blitzing all the time to get that pressure. It's strictly with the front four. Those defensive ends that they have, Nick Rogers and Greg Gathers both in there. Watch this. I guarantee it right here. On this snap alone, they'll be in there.
Out the blitz.
Gathers is 55. Rogers is 38. They come underneath Ray Robinson. Try to get a timeout before time runs out, and they do with a couple of seconds left. So you'll see a Hail Mary on this play. From the 44, it'll be a 56-yard toss to the goal line for Rivers and company. While we have a second, let's remind you of some of the action coming up this weekend on ABC Sports. Everybody except the Pacific time zone will see Penn State go to Columbus and take on the 12th-ranked Buckeyes. The Nittany Lions 1-3, shut out by Pittsburgh last week. And most of you are going to see Notre Dame and George Gottes's brother Gary take on Michigan State, Iowa, and Nebraska. For some of you in the Midwest and in ACC country, we'll see Clemson, Virginia. And out on the West Coast, your second game will be out of the Mountain West with Air Force in Salt Lake City to take on Utah.
Guess who's doing that Air Force-Utah game?
That'll be Mr. Jackson.
That's a big game when Keith Jackson's there, my friend.
Keith and Timmy Brandt will be in Salt Lake City. There's the Gotze family. They're off to East Lansing. And on the other side, Steve Rivers coached a JV team, the high school where he is now coaching. He was a coach in Alabama, moved up here with the family once Philip came to school up here. And with the growth explosion in this area, new high school, Steve took over as the head coach. They're playing a JV schedule this year, and that's why he's coaching the JV team. Moonball to end the half. Who can win the jump? Nobody. It falls to the ground, and we've hit the half. Story of the first half, Georgia Tech's defensive front getting pressure on Philip Rivers. Chukamado's team down 13 at the break. Now SportsCenter in-game Original Course halftime report. To the studio, Rich Eisen.
All right, Mike, as rebuttal, Kirk should know that while Michigan was taking on UCLA in the Rose Bowl, Ohio State was toiling away in the horseshoe against Miami of Ohio, eking out that 11-point victory. That said, let's get started with our SportsCenter in-game. I have my line stacked to my left. Chris, Rod, and the coach, Mike Gottfried, going to help us out. We're also going to talk about the AL wild card, an Olympic update for you, and the A-Train. Can they rebound from that loss to the Bruins? Tough game at Illinois. We'll discuss.
For the Original Core's halftime report.
Welcome to SportsCenter in-game. I am Rich Eisen, and we start off with an Olympic update. Now, many are not watching, but for those who are, it's that portion of the show in which the sportscaster gravely warns you to look away if you don't wish to know who won. We start things off. The women's 100-meter freestyle, Inge de Bruin of the Netherlands takes gold. Dara Torres and Jenna Thompson share bronze. Second gold of these Olympics for de Bruin. 9th career medal for Thompson, 2nd individual medal. The men finish gold, silver in the 200-meter backstroke. Lenny Kraselberg takes gold. Aaron Pearsall takes silver. 2nd gold for Kraselberg, 9th for the U.S. in swimming. The U.S. takes silver, bronze in the 200-meter individual medley. The silver goes to Tom Dolan, bronze to Tom Wilkins, the gold to Mossy Rossellino, no relation to Rolly Massimino. In the men's basketball competition, Dream Team, what is it, 4 or 5 now? I can't even keep up. But this 9-point victory over Lithuania was the slimmest margin of victory that the U.S. men's team ever posted since pros started playing in this game. Gary Payton with 14-point effort for the United States. In gymnastics, Romania sweeps the medals in the women's all-around competition. Only the second time a country has pulled off the sweep. The Soviets back in 1960, the other. Andreea Rudacan is the first Romanian to win all-around title since Nadia Comaneci pulled that off in 1976. The smooth segue to the American League wildcard race. The Indians and Red Sox first of 2 at Fenway. The Indians put up a 7 spot in the first, but the Red Sox came all the way back in the 3rd inning. Troy O'Leary busts out the whooping stick, a 3-run shot, tying the game at 7. The Red Sox going to win this game 9-8, but in the second game of this doubleheader, getting crushed 8-1. Chuck Finley, the beneficiary of all the offense. Cleveland scored 6 times in the 6th to put an 8 spot on the board. Travis Fryman, 3 for 3, 2 runs scored. Nomar has extended his hitting streak to 13 games in the nightcap. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays and Yanks going down. Right now, the Yanks' last shot to beat David Wells, going for his 20th win. David Wells was perfect through 4 1/3 innings in this game. Bernie Williams' 29th home run, counting for the only Yankees run. Carlos Delgado got his 41st. in this game. So here is your wild card picture up to the moment. The Indians and Athletics in a flat-footed tie after the Indians lost Game 1 at Fenway. The Athletics going up against the Mariners in the first of their huge four-game set in Seattle tonight. The Blue Jays can creep even closer if they can hold on and beat the Yankees in Skydome. Still to come on SportsCenter in-game, our halftime blitz, checking out how Penn State, Lou Holtz and the Gamecocks, and how UCLA might fare this weekend. Come on back, we have lots more to discuss.
SportsCenter in-game. This halftime report is presented by Original Coors. When you're an original, you do it your own way. Original Coors.
Last time we saw the Miami Hurricanes, they were trudging off the field in Washington with their visions of grandeur dashed and their optimistic faithful disillusioned. Now, after taking a week off to lick their wounds, the Canes reemerge in West Virginia, where Miami usually winds up playing in close games. Dave Ryan kicks off our weekly halftime blitz from the East.
This is turning into a season of revenge for West Virginia. With wins over BC and Maryland, the team already has payback for losses from last year. Next up, Miami, where a year ago, WVU lost on a late interception at the Hurricane goal line. The team is 2-0 for the first time since '97 because of great rushing defense. Last year, BC's Cedric Washington and Maryland's Lamont Jordan combined for 465 rushing yards against the Mountaineers. This year, the two managed a measly 69 yards between them. In Miami, the Hurricanes are getting themselves ready for the hostile crowd in Morgantown. They'll need good help as well. Receiver Santana Moss has a twisted right ankle and tendonitis. It's kept him from some practices. He'll need more than just the one catch for 7 yards yet against Washington for the Canes to have a real chance. Now to the Southeast, and Tony Barnhart.
Now, South Carolina has lost 4 straight to Mississippi State. In fact, the Gamecocks haven't scored on the Bulldogs for 10 consecutive quarters. So it looks like defense will again be the order of the day when these two show up for a key SEC showdown in Columbia. Jolie Dunn's Mississippi State defense has an answer for everything. Dorsett Davis and company have held 11 of their last 14 opponents to under 100 yards rushing. In the secondary, Pig Prather, Josh Morgan, and Fred Smoot can dominate a game with big plays. But thanks to Cleveland Pinckney and Andre Offing, South Carolina leads the nation in scoring defense and has forced 9 turnovers. A win would be Mississippi State 15th in its last 17 regular season games, while South Carolina could be 4-0 for the first time since 1988. Now let's go out to the Midwest. Gene Wojciechowski.
John Cooper knows exactly what Joe Paterno is going through. Cooper had 6 players drafted in 1999 and finished 6-6. Paterno lost 4 key starters to the NFL this spring and is now an embarrassing 1-3. Of course, Ohio State sympathy only goes so far. The unbeaten Buckeyes have a few problems of their own, such as getting the ball to Kenyon Rambo and Reggie Germany. Neither one has a touchdown reception. Buckeyes quarterback Steve Bellisari is starting to get it, but the same can't be said of Penn State's offense. Overthrows, drop passes, sacks, you name it, the Nittany Lions are doing it. Somebody, anybody needs to step up, or else Paterno is looking at 1-4. Now to the West, and Holly Rowe.
The last time UCLA beat Oregon in Eugene, they stole a dramatic 39-31 win. The Ducks have since then gone on a 16-game home winning streak. They've got to watch out for the Bruins, though. They're ranked 8th and hot after upsets of Alabama and Michigan. Oregon's offense is potent. Joey Harrington has thrown for nearly 700 yards in the first 3 games, and JC transfer Maurice Morris has rushed for 111 yards a game. They face a defense without starting defensive lineman Kenyon Coleman, who's out with a knee injury. The Bruins didn't win a single game on the road last year, but the O-line has matured. Against Michigan, receiver Freddie Mitchell had a career high with 10 catches, and Ryan McCann had 150 yards in the second half alone. The Duck defense is ranked 17th in the nation, but against Wisconsin gave up 290 yards to Michael Bennett. They'll have to improve against UCLA's Deshaun Foster.
Thank you, Blitzers. We're going to talk about that game some more, as well as Notre Dame's big game at Michigan State. First time on the road for the Irish this season. And we go inside the hidden video, or it's just called hidden video.
Welcome back to SportsCenter in-game, the Original Coors halftime report.
Welcome back to SportsCenter in-game. I'm now going to hand things off to 3 very capable people including Chris Fowler. And Chris, I assume the accommodations are all set for Eugene.
Rich, we can't wait to take game day at Autzen Stadium. The Pac-10 could not be hotter. 6 underdogs from that conference pulled upsets last weekend. That's got to be some kind of an unofficial record. UCLA must pull another upset if they're going to win their conference opener against Oregon because, as Holly mentioned, 16 straight home wins, and the Bruins did not win a road game last year. Deshaun Foster continues to be, I think, one of the best big play players in college football. Better bring it again on Saturday.
Well, he's compared to Terrell Davis of the Broncos, and he has a great stiff arm.
Yeah,
he stiff arms very, very well. He could be the difference in this ball game, and he's moving up on the east side in the Heisman race, too.
Now it's time to talk about Notre Dame and Michigan State. I give you a chance to show that defensive side and get back at him right here, because this one may be about defense. Notre Dame having to turn things over to the defense with the offensive game plan very basic. You're watching George Godsey's brother Gary on Saturday. I don't know if they better come out of their shell a little bit in Spartan Stadium with a young quarterback.
Well, they're going to have to get great defensive play. That's really going to make a big difference for them. And they will get that because now Bob Davie has taken over the defense. He's making the calls there. They're more aggressive. They play man-to-man coverage now. They blitz on rundowns. This is a Notre Dame defense that's real aggressive. Should I give you a forearm shiver here now, Coach?
He's everywhere, isn't he?
Meanwhile, Michigan and Illinois, the Illini hosting Michigan and getting their first sellout in 5 years. The last time they sold it out, Michigan was there. If they can win this game, they go 4-0 for the first time in 40 years. You were out there watching them practice this week.
Yeah, Michigan is a strong offensive line. I think that'll be the difference in the ball game. They can run the football, and I don't believe Illinois can.
Cold and wet supposed to be there, right?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to whether you're going to see Henson in this ball game, though.
Will Henson pop up? Maybe Rich Eisen has insight on that. We never know with Michigan. Different guys, it's mysterious. Eric Wilson, though, the fine defensive lineman we do know, is definitely out. It is time for Hidden Video. Fans of Hofstra and Chattanooga and Randolph-Macon may have seen these highlights, but most of you have not. Delaware at Hofstra on the Hempstead Turnpike on Long Island. 5'8" Craig Cummings became the first player in Delaware's 111-year history to score a touchdown, rushing, receiving, and passing in the same game, leading the Blue Hens to a shocking 44-14 upset win over 4th-ranked Hofstra. The diminutive halfback finished the game with a mighty 317 yards of total offense, 49 rushing, $182 receiving, and 86 passing as he gets to the Visa-like end zone. Mississippi Valley State against Chattanooga. Wide receiver Cos DiMatteo of Chattanooga had 6 touchdown receptions, 6 in the Mocs. 72-17 woodshed beating of Mississippi Valley State, breaking a single-game record. The junior from Franklin, Texas, broke the record held by 5 others, including, ironically, his opponent's most famous alum, Jerry Rice. DiMatteo wrapped up the day with 9 catches, 203 yards, in addition to an emotional 6 touchdowns. Randolph-Macon at Washington and Jefferson. Sophomore quarterback Brian Dawson of Washington and Jefferson sets a school record, throwing for 6 touchdowns, all in the first half. Saturday, a day of mighty woodshed beatings in the smaller division schools. That's Ryan Silvas, who reeled in that tip pass. He had 4 touchdowns. Then it's Chris Mosley, the fullback, with the 5'6" speed, barreling into the end zone. He tried to hit him late, and the DB paid for it. I'm just kidding. That is not his real 40 time. Don't send me a letter. Choose your favorite video by logging on to ESPN.com. I'm not going to influence the voting as I did last week. You just decide and vote for yourself. 13-zip Jackets at the break.
Coors halftime report.
David Wells gets his 20th win, moving the Blue Jays within a game and a half of the Indians, who are going to wrap up their win in Boston very soon. So they'll wind up 2 out of the wild card before the end of the night. They're only 3.5 games behind the Yankees. We will discuss all these things on SportsCenter, we meaning me and Reese Davis, on SportsCenter after the game. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. College football, baseball, football, maybe that thing going down in the city. We're back to the game.
Back at Carter Finley Stadium, it is a 13-0 halftime lead for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech outgaining North Carolina State. The lone turnover happened when North Carolina State's Phillip Rivers had a man wide open streaking to the end zone, but the pressure of Georgia Tech ended up being the story there. Mike Tirico, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit up in the booth. Jerry Punch on the sidelines in a little bit. Let's look ahead to the second half here, boys.
It's 13-0 Georgia Tech, but I think Ralph Friedgen's got to keep that offense well balanced because he's got to remember North Carolina State comes from behind to win 2 games already this year.
Well, that's their comfort zone.
Yeah.
They love to come back. Phillip Rivers has struggled in the first half. They're getting a lot of pressure on him. He's been sacked 3 times. He's 10 of 23 for only 87 yards. They've got to do a much better job of slowing down the pass rush to have any chance here to make that another comeback.
You mentioned a comfort zone, then coming from behind, but in those games they played Arkansas State and Indiana, not the quality of defense Georgia Tech has. Georgia Tech's defense showing the athletes and the scheme to do a good job thus far here in the first half. And thus far this season, remember, Tech held Florida State to 26 points. Georgia Tech deferred to the second half, so they get the ball first on offense and bringing it out from 5 yards deep in the end zone. Nate Curry. Interesting decision. He comes out to the 20. Now the Home Depot coaching adjustment from after the first half, Lee.
One of the interesting points, and this is the coaching point, you guys, what you do at a blocker is you never block a man that you can see his numbers from behind. The mistake was his back could be seen by the blocker. You never block a man you can see the numbers from behind.
And when your man's about to cross the goal line, you never block a guy.
Yeah.
It was Mark Pelshak who made the block on Corin Robinson's return. That would have made it a 10-7 game. NC State never scored. Georgia Tech added another field goal, a 13-0 lead. Sean Gregory first carry of the half. He gains 5. And here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, at halftime, Georgia Tech head coach George O'Leary talked about the fact his offense, a little bit of miscue there with regard to some penalties, some drop passes, but he said he'll work on that at halftime. Defensively, very pleased. He wanted to make this young freshman quarterback have to move his feet, not be able to lock on a receiver, not be able to dial in on anybody. They have been able to make Rivers move his feet. Very pleased with there. By the way, they have lost Jeremy Myers for the night. The free safety is gone.
Knee injury there. 2nd and 4 pass is good to a first down to Jeremy's older brother, John Myers. LeVar Fisher, the top tackler on NC State, cleaned it up.
Doing a good job of moving the ball around. It's not just 1 or 2 receivers. They've mixed in the backs out of the backfield, and also John Myers split in, coming across the middle, just right across the first down marker, picks it up. But I like how he's moving the backs in and out between Gregory and Burns.
Burns at the fullback spot, late pitch, scooped up, and Gregory took a shot on the way down from Brian Williams, up from his left corner spot.
Burns and Gregory in the first half carried the ball combined 14 times, 78 yards. It's over 5.5 yards a carry. They also caught combined 5 catches out of the backfield for over 61 yards. So between them, it's a heck of a 1-2 punch coming out of that Georgia Tech backfield.
Gregory out, Burns in for 2nd and 8. No run to the left. Burns seeking a spot. Gets out across the 35. We have 3rd down and about 5 coming up. And there's Ed Wilder.
Ed Wilder is a big fullback, but if you watch this play, you'll watch Ed Wilder put his hand behind on his butt to tell the tailback which way he thinks he's going to block. Watch Wilder in the situation. He's given the tailback an opportunity before the ball is snapped to know which way he's going. That was a very good play by Ed Wilder right there.
He's a senior who's only seen about 25 snaps a game as he battles a knee injury. 3rd and 4. 3 down linemen. State brings the pressure from the linebackers. Chasing is D'Antonio Burnett. Ball came out and it is recovered by Brian Williams at the bottom of the pile. Got it for North Carolina State. Will Glover was popped. There's a Georgia Tech player with one hand on it, but couldn't get all the strength in that left hand to pull it back. Opportunity for State.
Number 20, Brian Jamison. Keep an eye on him. He's going to come in and make a big hit here and force that ball out of there. Once it's loose, now it's a free-for-all. And I'll tell you what, North Carolina State's lucky Brian Williams got in there to get that, because that would have been a first down for Georgia Tech.
See if North Carolina State can build on the momentum of Georgia Tech's first turnover of the night. Phillip Rivers stepping up, looking long for Corin Robinson. Oh, what a great INT! picked off by the freshman Jonathan Cox. It was a jump ball for the better athlete in Corin Robinson, but off his hands, and Cox right away blunts the North Carolina State threat. Jonathan Cox, true freshman, stepped into the starting lineup tonight. He's out of De La Salle High School, a great athletic factory in Chicago. Going for Corin Robinson, trying to come off the turnover with a touchdown. Got his hands on it. Cox made a better play. We are back here in Raleigh. And a couple of yard run on first down. Takes it out to the 3 as Georgia Tech starts the drive from the 1. 3 minutes gone by, third quarter. Georgia Tech leading 13-0. North Carolina State, second interception. It's down by the state student section now, and they are making a lot of noise, trying to make it tough for Tech to operate down here. Wilder in motion, Gregory the lone back. Fumble! Touchdown! J.J. Washington, the freshman! Out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, the redshirt freshman, the cornerback, comes up with a recovery. Injury to Clayton White, the senior, who's been battling a heel injury and played a limited number of snaps. It looks like he has an injury to his right wrist here. Let's look at the touchdown.
This is a big-time play by number 44, LeVar Fisher. He's going to come over and make a big hit all the way from the backside linebacker spot. The ball is free. Once it goes down, J.J. Washington picks it up. But LeVar Fisher to come all the way from the backside. Look at him never give up and make the big hit and knock that ball loose.
You watch this team on film, and all you see is 44 flying to the ball. LeVar Fisher, who his coaches say is the best player on the field for us defensively.
I know we were looking at film yesterday. We watched a few games. We were looking at first half, second half, and it seemed like every game we turned on, 44 was everywhere making plays, and he's having more fun this year. He says Chuck Amato's letting him turn it loose a little bit more as long as they play within the rules out there. He doesn't mind them communicating and talking out there a little bit more than they've done here in the past.
Ed Passingham on to try the extra point. North Carolina State, the defensive score, gets them back in it. Passingham, the senior out of Holly Ridge, North Carolina, has the extra point. Sold-out crowd of over 50,000 letting Sean Gregory know they're happy he turned it over. J.J. Washington's touchdown makes it a new game. The sound of the State fans. A little pep in their step right now. LeVar Fisher got in on his 9th tackle of the day. Forced the fumble that J.J. Washington turned into his first career touchdown. And it's a 6-point game. Georgia Tech 13, NC State 7. Here's the touchdown man ready to cover on special teams. Before George Godsey, the junior quarterback, gets back out there, he's trying to pump up Sean Gregory, who was hit and fumbled. Kelly Campbell back with Joe Burns. This one out of bounds, and it will give great field position to Georgia Tech. Drive started at the 35.
It's a big change of events. Go back to the interception where Georgia Tech got it. Now North Carolina State, and again, I want you to appreciate how far LeVar Fisher is going to come to run this play down all the way from the backside. You can see the outside number 15 is able to make him cut underneath in the big hit there. Good job by Clayton White. And I want you to look into the eyes of a linebacker here, kind of that Mike Singletary look. Big hit there to free that ball and get North Carolina State right back into this game and get the momentum back.
With the kickoff out of bounds, Godsey gets it at the 35. And right back to us is Joe Burns, not Gregory. It's 7 or 8 yards out to the 43-yard line.
Burns carries.
Picked up about 8 yards. Here's Jerry.
Guys, a moment ago, Clayton White came off the field. They were holding his right forearm. I spoke to Dr. David Feigenbaum, the team orthopedic surgeon. They were examining White. They have sent White in for x-rays to his right wrist and right forearm to see if there's a fracture. Looking for a possible fracture in the forearm or the proximal wrist. We'll let you know when we find out in just a moment.
Okay, Jerry, the senior's out. Corey Lyons, a junior, comes in. Godsey keeps on the... Yes, he did keep on the option. He got across midfield for the first down. So George Godsey showing good ball hiding skills on the option.
It's very difficult to run this offense. Here is the triple option, and you're simply going to, when you read the triple option, you're going to read number 77. He stays wide there. He actually commits down, and once he commits down, the quarterback is taught to pull the ball out and carry it down the line and try to pick up yardage, and that is a kind of a very difficult thing to teach between the fullback and the quarterback, but Georgia Tech has it down. Good read there by Godsey.
47. Fisher coming off the edge, got picked up by the back, and the pass for Ed Wilder is incomplete. Mind you, the primetime NFL action that comes your way this week. ESPN Sunday Night Football, the 1-2 Washington Redskins. A little desperation against the Giants right after NFL primetime. 8:30 Eastern, Dion and company kick. And then on Monday Night Football over on ABC, the Jaguars and the Colts. One big team in the AFC is going to have 2 early season losses. We get you started with Monday Night Countdown at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. 2nd and 10. Option. Bad handle of it. Gregory's got a fall on it. Sean had fumbled on that last one, leading to the touchdown, waiting to get his hands back on the ball. And not what he wanted, a pitch coming back over his head.
When you play option football, you take chances. It's high risk, it's high reward as well. But these quarterbacks and the halfbacks have to be on the same page. And here, even though that's behind him, he's got to be able to at least hold on to the football there. You've got to handle and secure the football before you worry about running it. Now you put yourself in a 3rd and very long situation.
To get to the 38 with time. Godsey down the middle, first down. Across the 30 for Will Glover, the sophomore. Good throw. Good pocket presence as well. Picked up a corner of the field there, 25 yards.
Mike, you're exactly right. This is 3rd and long. This is a tough thing to execute, and he knows the pressure is going to come. The offensive line protects him. He steps up into the pocket and finds Glover coming across, who had beaten his man on a crossing route, Julius Patterson.
4 receivers, 1 back. And that 1 back is Burns. They took out the umpire on that play. George Burton took a big hit.
Burns carries to the 15-yard line.
First down carry to about the 15. It's a timeout for the umpire. That's the toughest officiating position out there. And the
16-yard line.
NC State training staff is right out there. Checking out the umpire who took a shot in the shoulder.
Lee, you always talk about answering. Georgia Tech, after giving up that touchdown, they so far have a pretty nice drive coming back after North Carolina State punched that, got that big turnover.
And you got to like the offensive play calling. They've been option, but all of a sudden now they give it to the fullback. If you watch the right guard, Brent Key, he gets a good block right into the face of everybody, and Joe Burns runs the ball right in. The reason why that play works is because they've been going outside so much and the linebackers are flowing so much that now they're starting to run it inside and cutting it back. The theory behind that play is fake like you're going outside and then get it up as quick as you can.
See, it's been very balanced for Ralph Friedgen's offense. The umpire, George Burton, is up, and the other officials just making sure he's okay, saying you can take a play off and we can rotate around. But he'll stay in there. That is the hot seat for the striped shirts, the umpire spot.
Makes it very difficult on a defense, Lee, when you're doing so many different things. You know, you can't find a rhythm. You can't attack. You can't pin your ears back and go get them because you're not sure where the ball's going.
You can read the lips. Come on, George. Let's go, George. John and Barbara Godsey. Parents up. Georgia Tech starting quarterback. 1st and 10. again. Pass was intended for Kelly Campbell.
And it's not a great throw there by George Godsey, but I got to tell you, we've been talking about J.J. Washington all night long. It seems like every time Georgia Tech's dropped back to throw, they want to go after the redshirt freshman, and each time he seems to be able to come up and make the call and answer. Look here, he's just sitting back in a soft zone, and there he's high pointing the ball. All he has to do is, again, North Carolina State catch the football.
Both sides of the ball, they've had several opportunities. Godsey peeping. Gains a few yards. They are probably better as an option team with the backup quarterback, Jermaine Crenshaw, in the game. And we saw him be very effective against Florida State. But Crenshaw is in no way the throwing quarterback or has full grasp of this complex offense like Godsey does. There is Jermaine. They're in field goal range. 3rd and 6. They spread out State. See if they can hit something in the middle. Ryan Williams, the defensive coverage, and the pressure on the quarterback came from LeVar Fisher. Field goal.
They blitz Fisher again. He's going to be able to get pressure on Godsey, just getting in the face of him. And I tell you, I think Georgia Tech's gone to the well one too many times on that underneath route against man coverage, and Brian Williams sniffed it out.
29-yarder. Missed it. Luke Mange, who made from 50 and 43, missed from 29. Good drive. No points. Momentum with the pack. Tech still lead.
ESPN's presentation of Thursday night primetime college football is brought to you by Bosch Platinum Plus 4. Take your engine to a higher power. And by Tostitos. Dig in, kick back, stay all season.
Right next door to Carter Finley Stadium is the Entertainment Sports Arena where the NHL Carolina Hurricanes play in the NC State hoop team. Right now, Georgia Tech has had the most snaps by far here in the third quarter, but points in the quarter, 7 for NC State, nothing for Tech. Just the second snap for Phillip Rivers in the offense. And they run Ray Robinson. Georgia Tech only got 4.5.
All right, Mike, this is for you and Curtis Strange. Analyze this for all the old golfers. He'll plant the left foot perfectly, but he swings it like this, and that's why he misses it. It's just like duck hooking. See that? It's just like duck hooking a golf ball. You got to swing the club through the ball. You got to swing your leg through the ball to make those kind of field goals.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Are you a good golfer, by the way, Lee?
Absolutely.
So, dangerous when they admit that they can do it. 2nd and 6, second try Robinson, left side again. Just a couple of yards there. Joseph Gray, the blocking tight end, was trying to give him some space. Quickly, it will be 3rd and 4. Darryl Smith, another freshman in the game. You hear us say freshman and redshirt freshman a lot. Coming in tonight, of the 44 starters, 22 on each side, only 10 seniors for Georgia Tech and NC State. These are two young teams. Backfield is empty. First down catch to the tight end, Willie Wright. Penalty marker is down. Maybe a face mask brought him down.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Rivers, Phillip's younger brother, 11 years younger than the quarterback.
Now 5 yards, face mask on the defense. First down.
Fans wanted a 15-yarder.
When in doubt, 3rd down. If you're not going to go to Corey Robinson, you might want to look up number 80, Willie Wright. He seems to be the guy that they love on 3rd and 4 to 5, 6 yards.
Four receivers, empty backfield again. Tech brings him, quick hit, Willie Wright. Midfield, and more. First down, Wolfpack. Here's Jerry.
Guys at halftime in the NC State locker room, offensive coordinator Norm Chow, very, very animated, said, guys, we are just standing around. We're letting defensive linemen run by us. We're not executing our routes. We're not holding on to the football. We're trying to run before we catch the football. We're not changing one thing for the second half. Not one thing. Then Chuck Amato stood up and said, guys, it's all about attitude. You bought into the attitude we have here. We can win. It's 11 guys on a football field. We got 30 minutes to prove to America that we have the attitude that can win.
Rivers elusive, got away. Corin Robinson got a block. Got a touchdown. What a play by Rivers, the quarterback. Ken Passingham. Good job with a low snap. Ooh, but he missed it. Low snap, it came back on the ground. And we are tied. The old cardiac pack, they're finding a way to do it again. It was 17 plus 3. Phillip Rivers been getting hit on those plays. Finally got away from a Georgia Tech rush. Threw the touchdown to Corin Robinson. Tie game. A couple of pretty good plays that you don't draw up. The fight, fortitude, and strength of a young freshman like Rivers and 6'5" to get away from a would-be sack. And then the speed and the moves of that man, Corin Robinson. Brought the fans at Carter Finley, 50,000 strong, to their feet. We have a tie game at 13. George Godsey and the Tech offense has had a lot of snaps in this quarter. Get their hands back on the ball. Austin Herbert's kick is high and short. Joe Burns from the 20 to the 40 with a marker down on the play. And some extracurriculars. Coach Trey Jackson, one of the running backs for NC State.
Offside on the kicking team.
Carries the ball, tackled by Quentin Allen.
Maybe just decline it, take it at the 40, right, guys? Sure.
Missed it to Jimmy Payne.
Offside on the kicking team. Penalty is declined. First down.
Go back to this touchdown, and watching this, I said at the break, he reminds me a lot of Jim Harbaugh, a young Jim Harbaugh here, scrambling, son of a coach, ability to have the awareness to find Corin Robinson. And then this is insane. This is just unfair. To see Corin Robinson get out in the open field, how big he is. You got to remember, he's 6'2", 203 pounds, running like that in the open field.
Godsey gets it back now. Joe Burns, 6 yards.
Now we still go back to the touchdown and take a look at Corin Robinson. I couldn't agree with you more. This guy is only a sophomore, and he's one of the best-looking receivers we've seen. This is what I like, Kirk. And explode.
And he's so big to be able to do the usually the is for the 5'8" and 5'9" guys.
And remember, when Chuck Amato came in there, he didn't believe that Chuck Amato. He was going to quit the football team.
Corin Robinson is big time.
2nd and 4. Wilder, the fullback, paves the way for a first down run by Joe Burns. 7 yards there.
You know, he was going to quit the team because he had a hard time with the discipline that Chuck Amato demanded when he came over from Florida State. He said he's beginning to see the importance and why he needs to listen to the head coach. But he cannot be a selfish player and worry about himself. It's all about the team. And when he plays within the team structure, Corin Robinson can be as good as you can find out there.
We asked Corin, when did he decide to go along with it? He said when he realized that Chuck Amato was the head coach. Yo,
that's it.
That's it.
Guy who's won championships. Chuck has more ACC rings than he has fingers to put them on. 11 ACC titles as an NC State player, assistant, and mostly as a Florida State assistant coach. Not much there for Burns. Here's Jerry.
Guys, NC State has lost one of their defensive gladiators. Not good news from the locker room. I'm being told that Clayton White, senior strong side linebacker, has a fractured mid-radius. That's a mid-forearm in his right arm. Will undergo surgery tomorrow morning. They'll put a plate and 6 screws in his forearm. He'll be out 6 to 7 weeks. If they were to go to a bowl game, he could come back, but he's done for the next month and a half.
The senior out, Corey Lyons must come in. Lyons played a lot in the last game against SMU because White was nursing a heel injury. 2nd and 9, quick hitter, the speed man, Will Glover, pull down. That's Brian Williams. Williams and Washington, the 2 W's on the corners here, are making plays tonight.
This is an unbelievable play by Brian Williams. Watch the closing speed that he has coming from the outside. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds, Kirk, and he is the best athlete in the secondary by far.
Without a question, he's made big play after big play this year for North Carolina State late in ball games, and there another great play.
North Carolina State forced to take a timeout here on defense. Georgia Tech faces a 3rd down and a loud crowd when you come back. 50,000 plus sellout crowd rocking the house in Raleigh on 3rd and 7. Coming off the corner is Patterson, as is caught by Myers at the 36. He's checking the spot. It's going to be right at the mark. See the 1st and 10 line where the line judge is standing.
Timeout to measure.
This is within a chain link.
Brian Williams on the stop.
What do you think?
Boy,
Think he has it?
Yeah, they got it by
chain link? What do you
It'll
think?
be right at the white stripe that's closest to the NC State defense. Field judge, get out of the way.
Looks short.
Oh.
I didn't think they had it.
Oh, you say it now. Thanks.
I knew it was about a half an inch short. Well, you didn't ask me.
This is not an invitation-only thing. You got to speak up when you want in this booth.
All right.
Going for it here, Coach?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback sneak. Don't even think about anything else.
That's one thing we coach here on Thursday night, by golly. My gum, if it's 3rd and 1 or short, we're going to QB sneak it.
We coach sneak or fullback lead down inside the 40.
If we ever play anybody, they're going to know our tendencies.
The reason why you quarterback sneak is the center knows the snap and the other guys don't.
Good second effort for the 1st down. Flag is down at the line of scrimmage on the far side.
Usually that's the defense lining up off sides because they want to get as close to the ball as they can.
Sure.
Usually.
Taking the 5 in the 1st down. John and Barbara Godsey saw their son, who is a tough son of a gun, show a little of that strength and toughness.
Nice second effort. He gets hit there by number 45, Burnett, but makes it forward. But the lineup, the reason that happens, Kirk and Mike, is the defensive linemen want to get so close to the ball that their heads are over the line of scrimmage.
Jackets keep the drive alive. Couple of yards of option run for Joe Burns. Georgia Tech's offense has had almost all the snaps here in this 3rd quarter, yet State's come back and tied the game at 13-13.
Well, it's one of these things where the momentum has gone back and forth, and North Carolina State did a good job of, once they gave it up, they're able to get the big turnover by Fisher's big hit to get that point, get the points, and I think that changed the game.
I think the extra point killed North Carolina State because instead of going ahead, they only tied them and gave Georgia Tech an opportunity to come back.
Certainly muted the momentum. 31st snap of this 3rd quarter, 25th for Godsey in the Tech offense. Myers got hot, but hung on to Antonio Burnett, who had the hit on Godsey on the 4th and inches. Made another big stop there. Sophomore out of Warner Robins, Georgia.
5'10", nice squat linebacker. And the reason he's playing zone now, boom. I like the explosion, Kirk. It comes through.
Anytime you hang the ball like that over the middle, it's either going to be an interception or somebody's going to get lit up.
State has defensive personnel confusion. 3rd and a couple. State still running all over in the defensive secondary. But they just come close to stopping the run here on 3rd down. It was Burns with the carry. He's right at the 1st and 10 line where the line judge is. We're going to have another 4th and short.
We all take.
All right, I'm going to ask all of you.
All right, he did not make it.
Mike?
I believe it will be 4th down. Yes, it will be.
You know, I could tell that.
How?
The official started winding his hand.
That's right. It's actually
that's a pretty good indication.
Half a yard here.
Now we're going to kick here with Luke Monge coming in.
Good luck, Monge. Oh my gosh. You don't want to go to George Leary if you miss this one.
First guess. Not a good call.
What if he fakes it?
I don't care. 3 is not as good as 7.
39-yard field goal is good.
Monte's kick is good.
Come back for a big hug from the sideline from the coach.
First guess of the night.
Mark it down. That is not going to help Georgia Tech at the end of the ballgame the way North Carolina State comes back in the 4th quarter. They should have kept the football, made a first down, and try to get 7. That's first guess.
That's the first guess of the night.
Chuck Amato, the former Florida State assistant, sees his team lose the lead, lose the tie. They're now down by 3, and we'll see Chuck's old school, the Seminoles of Florida State, take on the old hard shell. The Terrapins of Maryland will be in College Park next Thursday night. It all begins with College Football Tonight, presented by Gateway at 7:30 Eastern with Chris Fowler, Rod Gilmore, and Mike Godfrey. The Seminoles are led by the coach, Chris Weinke.
Unbelievable quarterback. He answers every play. Kirk, we talked about this off the camera. The guy's like a coach up there.
He looks like an assistant coach in the huddle. I mean, he's back there. He's in total control. He knows everything. He knows the offense. He knows the defense. He knows.
I like that nickname for him.
He's the coach. The coach. He is.
That's my name.
Well, there are several coaches.
Okay. Interesting. Florida State playing Maryland. I spent 8 years as an assistant coach at those 2 places. 1 at Florida State and 7 at the University of Maryland. I'm looking forward to going back home and seeing my old spot where I live.
You live actually in Berg Stadium.
In Berg Stadium, 3rd floor, right apartment, bunk bed, number 2.
You're going to take us there next week.
With Roland Aragoni was my roommate for 8 months. What a life.
I've never looked forward to Wednesday more in my life. On the kickoff, it's Henderson. Spill at the 25. You saw Clayton White return to the North Carolina State sideline. The senior's got to be just crushed. Injury like that. As Jerry talked about surgery tomorrow, his season probably done. Chance of coming back for a potential bowl game. Now he must watch and have a million things running through his mind as he watches this quarter. Phillip Rivers in the offense. Back at it. Touchdown last drive to Warren Robinson. We know where Herbie's looking. Ray Robinson. They try somehow to establish a run, and the linebacker Ricardo Wimbush came up and made the tackle.
Well, between Willie Wright, number 80, and Corin Robinson, number 3, when they throw the football, I think it's safe to say where they're going to head.
After dropping 3, it's 2nd and 13. Rivers goes back into the shotgun. On the run. Gets to the 30-yard line. It's a good hit inbounds by Darryl Smith. 8-yard pickup. 3rd and about 5 coming up from Carter Finley Stadium, Raleigh, North Carolina. North Carolina State 3-0 undefeated with new head coach Chuck Amato taking on Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets trying to avoid an 0-2 start in the ACC. They lost the game. Everybody in the league loses to Florida State. But 0-2 becomes a difficult hole to dig out of. Phillip Rivers, true freshman quarterback, who's put up 40 per game in the opening 3 for NC State. Faces 3rd down. Looking for Corin Robinson. First down at the 48. 12 yards against man coverage.
Well, here it's a mismatch. If you go by experience, Corin Robinson, look at the size advantage over Jonathan Cox, who's about 5'10", and the ball was well thrown there by Rivers away from the defender over the outside shoulder.
That was also what they call the automatic fade. They were going to try to throw a quick pass out to him, but he got pressed. They went right over the top. Nice mental play by Rivers there.
5 catches, 92 yards now for Robinson. Ray Robinson runs, and they're unrelated. That's a good 5.5-yard pickup for Robinson, and will bring us through the end of the third quarter. North Carolina State going to find itself in the same position they did the game against Arkansas State, the game against Indiana. It's going to come down to a wire shot. They won the first two, one at home, one on the road. They'll have a chance to keep the fourth quarter magic going as they try to go to 4-0 on the season. After 3 in Raleigh, Tech 16, NC State 13, Thursday Night Football. And now the fourth quarter from Raleigh. 13-3, NC State outscored Tech in the third, despite the fact that Georgia Tech ran 17 more plays in that quarter. North Carolina State with a drive as we start the final 15. 2nd and 5 and a false start. We'll drop them back 5. Reggie Poole, the right guard, was a little anxious.
A flag on the play.
2nd and 10. Jerry spoke with Chuck Amato after the third quarter.
Well, Coach, you have dominated the fourth quarter in 3 games this year. What will it take to dominate the fourth quarter and win it here tonight?
We got to make some first downs and get a score on the board because our defense was on the field the whole third quarter because of the turnovers and all that other stuff. We got to get them to catch their breath a little bit. And if we don't stop ourselves, they're not going to stop us.
Thanks, Coach.
If they make a movie about this team, Joe Pesci,
where are you?
Has a job. Rivers to Ray Robinson. Broke some ankles and got a first down to the 33.
This is one of BYU's favorite plays that I used to watch. They cross the backs. Watch number 42 will go to the left, and number 5, Robinson, will come to the right. They do that so if it's man-for-man coverage, they can rub them off, Kirk. But if it's zone, the guy would be wide open. Now, Robinson breaks tackles. Boy, is he a good football player.
After picking up first 15, 1st and 10 for State. Robinson runs behind the pulling guard, Reggie Poole. First down to the 20. After a reception of 15, a run of 13.
Let me tell you something. Robinson, Corin, Robinson, Ray can play any place in the country. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're both very gifted. I think Corin Robinson's probably in a whole different league, but Ray Robinson is a tough runner. Gets tough yards inside. He breaks tackles. He's perfect for this offense.
He's perfect for my team because he's a competitive guy, can catch it and run it.
Yep.
It's all about the 3 R's, Rivers, Robinson, and Robinson. Incomplete. Corin couldn't dig it off. The tight turf here at Carter Finley.
It's interesting to watch Phillip Rivers and to remember that he's a true freshman. We continue to talk about what he can do in the fourth quarter, but you don't want to just continue to say this, but you got to appreciate for a young man that was in high school last year to watch him and watch how poised he is, considering we're in a 16-13 game and his team's undefeated. A lot of people are pointing to him to get this thing done.
Son of a coach. One of those special phrases often used. Ryan Peterson is in motion. Rivers moves, brought down. The defense, which was the story in the first half, another play by Darryl Smith. Sack 4 for the team this week.
As a former coach, there's 2 things that you judge a quarterback by. Number 1, how he answers people and how he plays in the fourth quarter. And right there, you got yourself 2 winners. A battle between Godsey and Rivers in the fourth quarter.
is like shootout at the old K Corral. High noon.
3rd and 13 for Rivers. With time. Ray Robinson. First and goal. Wolfpack.
Again, they're going to slip Ray Robinson out of the backfield and continue to use him on this hide route. They love to use man coverage here and simply outrun the linebacker. The offense feels that there isn't anybody who's going to be able to stay with their running backs. And there they do it again.
Again, that was that BYU play where they used the crossing against man, or if it's zone, they rub off each other. Great call by Norm Chow.
Wolfpack driving for the lead, which they have not enjoyed tonight. Robinson. Willie Wright, his tight end, gave him the hardest hit on that play. Got it down to the 5.
Talking to Norm Chow before the ball game, he told us that the goal line offense inside the 5-yard line is number 5, number 5, number 5, or number 80. Watch out for Willie Wright down there. They like him. Do you like
He's coming off the field right now. It looks like he's a little bit dinged up, but you're right. Number 80 inside here. They love to go to him on man-to-man situations.
Willie, hurry up. Get back in there.
We need you.
2nd and goal. Ray Robinson, the lone back. Corin Robinson. Touchdown! After missing the last extra point with a poor snap. See how Danny Young's snap comes back to the holder, Bobby Moore. Might have been Georgia Tech getting a little anxious. Wow. Warren Robinson, 6th touchdown this year. Phillip Rivers, 2nd of the night. Important extra point. Want the lead to be more than a field goal if you're rooting for NC State. And it is. Six catches, 98 yards. He wears 2 big old diamond earrings. He's the stud shining tonight. Corin Robinson's had a breakout game, and Phillip Rivers' dad, who's a coach, says, "Way to go, son. Pack on top." I'm out.
Hi, I'm Phillip Rivers, NC State's true freshman quarterback. I'm standing here on campus in front of the bell tower, which is lit up red after an ACC win. Although I lead the NCAA in passing yards per game, my goal tonight is to light this tower red.
Now, Phillip Rivers, very composed, mature, and smart young man, has put up some good numbers when it counts here in the second half. Once down 13-0, North Carolina State has scored 20 of the last 23. They lead by 4. Kelly Campbell, who's been quiet tonight, up to the 20. Big hit by Craig Moody, reserve receiver.
Let's go back to this touchdown pass. Very impressed with Phillip Rivers. Here it's a fade route, but you need to throw it into the corner and allow your receiver to go run it down. And Corin Robinson with the height. Look at it, the ball is thrown right into the corner. Perfectly thrown by Phillip Rivers to his main man, Corin Robinson.
Now George Godsey in the Tech offense, which came down the field against Florida State in the second half with a score 2 weeks ago. Got to establish some run. Joe Burns is up. Adrian Wilson in the aggressive Wolfpack defense.
All right, Kirk, let me show you another reason why this worked. They blocked both ends to make sure that they could get maximum pass protection and get the ball off. That was a tremendous call because it blocked the blitz and got the one-on-one. That's why that play got off. Good call by Norm Chow, blocking the tight end.
Surprised that Georgia Tech would go one-on-one down deep against a big receiver like Corey Robinson.
Chow time on the Chuck Wagon. A good hit by J.J. Washington again. Joe Burns, a flag comes in on the play.
One thing you have to be careful of when you start to get aggressive on defense, sometimes these officials will try to take away that aggression. North Carolina State simply made a big play there. Washington came up, and after he came up on the top, number 44, LeVar Fisher, they're going to call for a late hit. He was just flying to the football. Watch Fisher come here after the hit. He comes down with a helmet there. He came down with a helmet.
Very good call by the official.
If he wouldn't have come down with the helmet spearing, it probably would have gotten away with it.
Very good.
Out of the gun, Godsey. Got away from Brian Jamison. Nobody open downfield, so he sticks his head in there. And Fisher gave him a lick, and Fisher may have taken the worst of it. Goes 47-yard line. John Godsey's son backs down from nothing.
Able to avoid the rush there by Jamison, but now once he gets upfield, you're in no man's land. You're trying to get down, but he couldn't. And I tell you what, you're right about Fisher. He came down with his head down. That's how you hurt your neck.
2nd and 5 option. Gregory, Brian Jamison using his speed off the end. Junior from Swedesboro, New Jersey.
Wherever he's been, he's got to get out of the field more. That Brian Jamison can run. He's been on the sideline too much.
He's their super sub who's been slowed by a hamstring in the pre and regular season.
Watch his speed coming down the curve. Oh, man.
Nice.
That guy has got to be on the field for North Carolina State more.
Forced 5 fumbles last year. 3rd down. You see where they have to go. Got it. 1st down to Kelly Campbell, the junior from Atlanta, Georgia.
We asked George Godsey yesterday in a meeting, what is it about you in the 4th quarter and how you like to always be in that position? He said, I'm a competitor. He said, I really don't have any other reason. I just love to be in those situations. From growing up with brothers, it makes me want to compete, and I hate to lose. There, he zipped the ball in there to Kelly Campbell for a 1st down. But as much as we talk about Rivers, got to remember, George Godsey will not go down quietly.
1st down run. Gregory fumbled earlier. 1 yard. His NC State defense far more active in the 2nd half. Corey Smith made the tackle. John and Barbara Godsey again. George is their son here at Georgia Tech. Their son Gary. What a season for this family. Because of the Arnaz battle injury, Gary became the starting quarterback at Notre Dame, playing that high-profile schedule. They're going splitting some weeks. On Thursday, Saturday, they're able to see both kids play. And what a thrill it is for them. I'm sure Gary's in South Bend watching his brother, as competitive as they are. He's pulling for him. Oh, intercepted! Terrence Holt! Eludes the tackle to the 35 of Tech. And we talk about brothers. Terrence Holt's brother, Torrey Holt, one of the all-time greats at NC State. The little brother makes a big play here.
He's going to simply slide up, and I tell you what, it's a play that Georgia Tech's been going to time and time again, and this time Terrence Holt timed it, baited Godsey to throw it, and once he did, he came up to make the play.
And you know who made the tackle? Holt Godsey.
he better.
He threw the interception, and he ran over there and made the tackle to save the touchdown, which could save this football game.
Yep.
Don't forget that. Godsey made the tackle.
The Phillip Rivers family watches their son get the ball back with the lead in good field position. Ray Robinson runs to the 30. A field goal here would give NC State a 7-point lead, and then you'll think about the extra point that they missed, but still a field goal here would give them an opportunity to go up 7. Touchdown here would be huge for Chuck Amato's team.
If I was Chuck Amato, I would take my football team down mentally with the touchdown in mind, because I don't trust the field goal kicker.
Second and 7, a play pass. Pressure, sack. 3 men meet at the quarterback, and Ricardo Wimbush has been all over, along with Darryl Smith.
And Darryl Smith is a true freshman. Wimbush has been in there. They've been bringing the backers, but Greg Gathers also. He's been coming from a defensive end position. They have been all over him the entire evening. They've come up with 5 sacks, numerous hurries, and that's one thing that they were relying on early in the game, getting pressure on Rivers and going back to it.
It's 2 sophomores and a freshman. O'Leary's defense is young. He's trying to keep them fired up. They've seen a lot of snaps in the second half.
Whatever Rivers has to do is don't turn it over. Punt the ball if you don't make it.
3rd and 14. Fullback Derek Roberts. Right at the mark for a first down. And he has it.
Kirk, you and I are sitting up here. We're looking like BYU.
He might not have it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's Roberts coming out of the back, but this is BYU's offense. He's snide. You call it hiding, right?
Yep, little hide route.
He's a hide route. Sneaks in there and gets it, and boy, there he goes. That was a tremendous call, because Norm Chow called that one from the old days at BYU, because everybody was going to drop deep, and he'd come underneath. What do you call that route? Hide route? Nice little hide route. Boom. Excellent, excellent call. Wonderful execution.
They did get the first down. The spot was about a yard behind where the player ended up. The fans were booing the spot, but he just made it by the nose of the ball.
I know they have Derek Roberts listed at 234, but when he runs with his pads on, he looks like he's 250 and a tough guy to bring down.
He leads the way for Ray Robinson, who lost the ball! And Rivers got it back! Greg Gathers had his arm in there.
This is again a heads-up play by the quarterback, Philip Rivers, as a true freshman. Mom can't stand it. But watch the quarterback. Again, remember, 18 years old, true freshman. The ball comes out, and this is Coach's son.
Okay, remember one thing. Gotze makes the tackle and saves the touchdown.
Yep.
Rivers recovers a fumble. These guys play well in the 4th quarter in every area.
That's right.
These families are dying with every play. Warren Robinson trying to make a lot happen. Rivers threw a block for him. And he's knocked out at the 28 by Corey Collins. Collins for Georgia Tech is the free safety in the game because Jeremy Myers is out with a knee injury. And Rivers is feeling it a little bit. And a North Carolina State player is hurt on the play as well.
Just a thought. If you're George O'Leary and you're getting ready to call this defensive play, you got to think about being aware of coming up with the backs underneath. They're going to dump it underneath. They've had a lot of success with that.
The problem you have, Kirk, in that situation is if you play man for man, they'll rub off on you. If you play zone, they'll throw it, dunk it in between you, let the guy run.
The center, Derek Green, got hurt on the play. They're looking at him. And right away, the backup center, who's really the 3rd-string center, Joe Lardino, a sophomore, is over there trying to take some snaps with Philip Rivers.
I want to practice a shotgun snap.
Oh, let me tell you what worries me. Anytime I see a 2nd or 3rd center come in, I worry about the shotgun snap, not the one that hands it to the guy. And if they don't get in the shotgun, there's no way they can protect this kid unless they do that little slip.
That could affect this play.
Absolutely, no question about it.
Green can't put any pressure on the right knee. He's starting because Keegan Weir, who was the starter at center for the beginning of the season, was injured, broke his leg for the 2nd time in this many years, the same leg. So Green had to move up and become the starting center. He's done a nice job. He was overmatched last year, but he's a lot stronger. He comes out, and Joe Lardino comes in. Lardino, who lost 21 pounds this spring, now is in the hot seat.
I know it's risky, but they've had so much success bringing Wimbush and Smith. Turn them loose. It looks like they're going to sit back, but I would turn those linebackers loose. Especially with a new center.
Nobody right over the center. Rivers, quick one to Eric Lee. Got across the 20 and to the 18-yard line. 17. field goal time. 35-yard attempt coming for Passingham.
Hey, I'm with you on this. I'm a little...
Kent Passingham, who in his career coming into tonight, 14 of 21 on field goals. He's gone 50-50 from 34 yards. To make it a 7-point lead. Off the upright end. That's the second time he's had one of those this year. He had one earlier in the season, and now he's stayed a 7-point advantage with 4:51 to go. Hard hits, guys playing hurt, great catches. And you just bang one off the upright. And good. Up 7.
ESPN's presentation of Thursday night primetime college football is brought to you by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different. And by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Great enthusiasm tonight here in Raleigh. Crowd of 50,000 watched NC State take the turnover and turn it into 3 points with a little bank from Kent Passingham, the field goal kicker. 34 yards out officially. And George Godsey will get it back in his hands, down 7 with 4:51 to go. Good kick. Good return as well. Untouched all the way to midfield for Kelly Campbell. Incredible. Nobody touched him. Not even close. Our Miller Lite storyline tonight at Carter Finley in the ACC. Godsey just under 200 yards. Now needs to come from behind. Rivers, Robinson, and Robinson getting it done for North Carolina State, as they have all year. Corin Robinson, the receiver. Ray Robinson, the running back. For Joe Burns. Slipped a tackle and ended up getting 6 before Terrence Holt and Brian Jameson brought him down. Here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, in Georgia Tech's home opener against the University of Central Florida, they trailed 17-7 with 3 minutes and 48 seconds to go in the football game. George Godsey did what he's doing right now. He drove them down the football field not once but twice. 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes to win 21-17. They've seen this chapter before.
Trying to do it again. Plenty of time here. They need a score to tie. Burns takes it forward. He's running into a wall before the first down marker. D'Antonio Burnett, the sophomore, made the hit. Chuck Amato burned 1 timeout with his defense here in the second half. Tech has its full complement.
Keep talking about George Godsey, but George O'Leary told us one thing he loves about this team early in the year is, as a team, they don't quit. No matter what the circumstances are, they don't quit. So they're, as Jerry just said, they're not going to be intimidated at all being in this position.
A run behind the fullback Wilder. Powerful first down run for Burns. Moves the chains with 3:28 to go. Tech down 7.
The same thing could be said about the guys in red.
Sure.
They're not going to quit. So right now, it comes down to a matter of who wants it more. The advantage also goes to North Carolina State because the game is played here, and they got the crowd. Also, North Carolina State believes they can win close games. That might help them right here, too.
Both teams do.
Rich Eisen, Reese Davis. Scores and highlights after the game. First down, Godsey. Good throw and a catch for Will Glover at the 30. Just a yard shy of the first down. It'll be 2nd and 1. Good down with 3 minutes to go.
You know what? I think George Godsey almost feels more comfortable. We were talking to him yesterday about being in the shotgun. It's almost like he feels more the more pressure that is on his offense, the less he's thinking about all the things about perfect timing and what do I do on this play. He's just going out and playing. He's like in the backyard playing football right now.
Georgia Tech calls this their fastball offense. And he does it very, very well. Looks like Nolan Ryan throwing the fastball.
2nd and 1. Put it up for grabs and incomplete. Fans wanted a holding flag, but none thrown. Nothing better than a good conference game with two evenly matched teams.
On a Thursday night.
3rd and 1. Run for it. And they've got the first down with Burns.
Burns carries across the 30.
LeVar Fisher trying to make like LeVar Arrington, flying in over the offensive line, but not timed as well as old 11 for Penn State used to do.
The defensive line is taught to get low right here, but Burns does a nice job of going over the top and getting it.
Ed Wilder, big block there.
Nice block.
Wilder, who sees limited snaps because of 4 knee surgeries, is in on this key drive when they're in the I formation. Coming up on 2 minutes now. Gotchi's looking for the end zone for the tying touchdown. And it is incomplete, but a marker down as Adrian Wilson came over from his strong safety spot and made contact with John Myers before the ball got there. The naked eye, I think that was a good call in terms of contact before the ball.
Wilson's, you're not going to see him in your picture, but he sees it right away. As soon as the ball goes up into the air, he's coming over, and that's clearly pass interference.
Good flag.
Could almost call it on Brian Williams, too.
Pass interference on the left back.
Any good set of home fans should be booing there, but the officials, who've done a great job tonight, they've done a great job tonight. Yes.
We will take this any day of the week, the way things have been going.
You mean you missed the Mississippi State 18 flag parade?
Per team? Yeah.
In the red zone, down 7, 2 minutes. 1st and 10, Tech. Burns to the 10. That's 3 yards. 2nd and 7 coming up.
Burns carries for 3
Georgia Tech is 2-1. They only lost by 5 to Florida State, and a pass interference penalty that maybe should have been called in that game thwarted a drive at the end of the game. North Carolina State on its home field is undefeated. They beat Arkansas State in double overtime. They won at Indiana, beat SMU, but nobody, including the state folks, was quite sure how good this team was. This is the best litmus test for them thus far. And so far, they're handing up 2. Timeout called by Tech. 1:51 to go. 2nd and 7 coming up. Back after the timeout for 2nd and 7. Georgia Tech needs a touchdown and extra point to tie North Carolina State. Gotcha play action. Throws back to the tight end, and McVay couldn't hang on. He rarely catches it. Just 4 catches this year. And had an opportunity to get in the end zone. 3rd down.
They're going to have play action rolling right. Syracuse used to run this all the time with Kevin Rogers as offensive coordinator, and here, wide open, catches the ball, he walks into the end zone.
That's the only pass that got thrown to him the entire game. That's why he dropped it.
Can get a 1st down just past the 4. State bringing heat. Pass is caught. Watkins can't make a play. Gets to the 7. It's 4th and 3 with a minute and a half to go. Timeout coming. Each team 2 left, but after Georgia Tech takes this one, they'll have 1 remaining timeout. As they set up the 4th and about 5. Georgia Tech down to 1 timeout. Let's go to the hidden video, ESPN.com voting. The President Speaks, the Washington and Jefferson 6-touchdown first-half performance was your choice in a very tight hidden video voting at ESPN.com. Chris showed you the plays at halftime. And the success for the Presidents. Washington and Jefferson, the winner there of hidden video. Thanks for voting at ESPN.com. SportsCenter coming up next with Rich Eisen and Reese Davis. College football, biggest surprise of the season. David Wells goes for 20 in the wild card race. But now here we go with 4th and a long 4 for Georgia Tech at the NC State 7.
Okay, let's put ourselves in Ralph Friedgen's mind. Number 1, Gotze's got to get the ball somewhere to number 6, Kelly Campbell. Because Kelly Campbell is the best athlete on the football team, and he'll make a play. I would design a play to get the ball to Kelly Campbell. What do you think, Coach?
Well, I like it because if they're in man coverage, you can look at either Watkins or Campbell because they're interchangeable and bring them on a crossing route. They've had some success with that tonight. Remember, you don't have to score the touchdown. You can still get a first down and still be in this game.
Remember last year on Thursday night, North Carolina State came down to a 4th down, and NC State couldn't pick it up. What will happen here? End zone! Touchdown! An extra point away for a tie game. What a gutsy throw on 4th down.
Pass caught by Watkins for Georgia Tech touchdown.
Harry Watkins comes up with his 2nd touchdown reception of the season, and now Luke Monge out of the Brett Basquin hold to tie the game. Low and through several defensive line arms. Tie game at 23.
We just talked about how both receivers, Kelly and Campbell and Kerry Watkins, are interchangeable here, man-to-man, and George Gotze has done it again, reading it perfectly, throwing into the corner. Georgia Tech has tied this ball game up.
At the start of the game, we talked about the senior 4-year starters, Joe Hamilton and Jamie Barnett for Georgia Tech and NC State respectively, and how tough shoes George Gotze and Phillip Rivers had in filling in for those, do everything, make something out of nothing, little quarterbacks. You've seen tonight, they're not as athletic, but they certainly get the job done very effectively in their own different, unique ways.
2 things also. Phillip Rivers recovered a fumble, gave him 3 points. George Gotze made the tackle that saved the interception going all the way and throws a touchdown pass. Wonderful 4th quarter play by both guys.
And you've been talking about it since we arrived here in Raleigh. 4th quarter in these quarterbacks. We're tied at 23. State has 80 seconds and a couple of timeouts. They don't want to kick it to Corin Robinson, but he'll get good field position if it's brought back by Derek Roberts, the fullback, who squirts forward to the 33-yard line. We're tied at 23 because after NC State scored a go-ahead touchdown, their extra point try missed to the left in part because of the slow snap. Bobby Moore couldn't get it up in time for the timing to stay right. Ken Passingham missed it to the left, and the missed extra point is the reason that State now must get down the field and try to get in field goal position. And we remind you that Passingham's career-long field goal is 35 yards. They've got to go about 40 to have a shot at a game winner. Rivers in trouble and brought down by Nick Rogers. The 6th sack of the night for Georgia Tech. Jerry?
Guys, George O'Leary told his defense, NC State's had success with their backs, releasing backs out of the backfield. Cannot let a back come out of the backfield. You got to get a handle on total linebackers. You got to stay with those backs. That's where they beat us. That's how they scored. Watch the backs releasing.
Will you do that, Jerry?
Be careful. NC State cannot afford to have a turnover here and lose it by a field goal either, Mike.
That's why they're not going at full speed here. It's kind of half speed. Sacked again. That time it was Greg Gathers off the end. 30 seconds left. And with the ball marked now, they don't have to run another play, and they could just choose right here to go to overtime. Unless Tech takes a timeout. George will not. Chuck is going to let them run it out. And we are staring down the barrel of overtime here in the ACC.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of regulation.
Second overtime.
NC State 23,
in 4 weeks for North Carolina State. They beat Arkansas State in double overtime here at Carter Finley. Back with our first ever Thursday Night Football overtime after this. Back for the coin toss to get overtime going. The backup quarterback, Olin Hannum, out there. Tech calls it. When you win the toss, as Georgia Tech just did, you want to play defense first. Nolan Hannum can choose which direction for NC State and send him down by the student section in the band where the most noise is. So Georgia Tech wins the toss. We'll play defense first, and it'll all happen down here by the student section. So you've seen the coin toss. You choose defense, so you get the last at-bat in the first overtime. Each team one possession from the opponent's 25 until a winner is decided. There's no game clock, just the play clock. And once we get past 2 overtimes into a third overtime, if that happens, you must go for 2 after touchdowns are scored. And the key thing to remember that sometimes people forget is if you pick up a first down, it keeps the drive alive. You certainly can have as many as 12 plays in an overtime possession for your team. As soon as we are done, Sports Center will come your way with Rich Eisen and Reese Davis. North Carolina State played double overtime and beat Arkansas State 38-31. NC State 3-1 in overtime. Georgia Tech 2-0, both last year.
If it gets down to a field goal kicking situation, Tech has the advantage with Lou Mankiewicz.
Phillip Rivers with the ball first. First down run for Ray Robinson. 1 yard. That's it. And this Georgia Tech defense,
Ray Robinson,
that hasn't been on the field for as many snaps here in the second half, still has a little bit of juice in their legs. Wimbush to hit again.
Oh, now's the time to show that you still have the juice. You got to be able to crank it back up and get ready to go the first series of this overtime. Georgia Tech, a lot of times they've been able to control the tempo and get the push up front. They need to be able to continue to do that. Meanwhile, you got to think North Carolina State wants to get the ball into either Ray or Corin Robinson's hands.
On 2nd and 8, Eric Leak in motion. A lot of pressure. Rivers, Robinson, touchdown! They missed an extra point. It's the reason we're still here. Passingham to make the lead 7. Good snap. Good hold. Good kick. And Georgia Tech must score.
A guy, newfound guys, Corin Robinson here, fade route. Nice job by Phillip Rivers getting back. And once again, you can see that they've worked on this a lot perfectly. Right over the shoulder. One-on-one, he beats man coverage.
But if you'll notice, he's throwing a hot pattern. Remember, the hot pattern is when there's an extra blocker coming back there. He just threw that thing right over the head, Mike. It was a perfect play because they blitzed the linebacker, got one-on-one coverage, and he got rid of the football.
And the Rivers family that has moved from Alabama to be with their son here in Raleigh, they found a home. Corin Robinson, a career-high 3 touchdowns. He didn't need the neck gesture afterwards. Georgia Tech must score a touchdown and an extra point to keep the game going. You do get a timeout in overtime. Play action. Swing out, incomplete for Burns. 2nd down. They come in with 3 receivers now, and Kelly Campbell and Kerry Watkins. Chuck Amato trying to go to 4-0. Kelly Campbell, big play man. Will they go his way? Gotze in trouble. Stays alive. Now goes down. And a flag. Be interesting because he was out grounding is still called. Loss of down. 5 yards back to the spot of the foul. They're going to be back at their own 43 with 2 shots at the end zone.
New rule this year in college football, if you can get out of the pocket, you're not going to be able to be called. And here, the ball has to get past the line of scrimmage for not to be intentional grounding. And here, the ball did not make it across.
I want to say something about Corey Smith, number 48. Not only did he miss it the first time,
got back up
and went back and tackled. They say he's the best football player in the front line by far. Corey Smith, 48, great play.
Got to go the distance. Get it to the 15. Campbell stays in bounds. He's knocked down at the 35. It's going to be 4th and 20. Two quarterbacks who have played their hearts out here tonight in Gotze and Rivers. And it comes down to 20 yards that Gotze must pick up here to keep the game alive.
Okay, I'll give you the play I would call. I run a post corner with Watkins and Campbell. Either over here on the right side on the 10-yard line or over on the left side on the 10-yard line. Either one of those two guys have run a post corner and throw it to the outside.
NC State has lost its last 5 to Georgia Tech. Chuck Amato asked his players, raise your hand if you beat Tech. Nobody could all week. Will they be able to now? Gotze, and complete. Oh, his man was open. Watkins missed it, and the Packers won. And here come the fans. And the goalpost that came down a couple of times in '98. Once in '99 when East Carolina beat Miami here. They're going to come down again tonight in Raleigh. Chuck Amato, 4-0. Undefeated. Best start by an NC State rookie head coach since 1917. Philip Rivers, 4-0. Undefeated. George Gotze, but not enough.
It's a great win for North Carolina State and Philip Rivers, but here, Kerry Watkins is going to wish he had this one back. The ball is going to be thrown right here, perfectly into the pocket of the zone, and you can see Watkins had time to look back and catch the football, and you got to believe that he heard some footsteps.
The play was perfectly set up to go to the 10-yard line that we talked about, but what happened to him when he got turned around, he probably lost the ball and couldn't find it again. Unbelievable finish.
Philip Rivers' mom and dad, brother and the sister who stayed up till 11:25 local time saw their son go 11 of 13 for 3 touchdowns in the second half in overtime. Gotze thought he threw the perfect pass to keep the game alive right through the hands of his sophomore receiver, Kerry Watkins, and a gutsy performance goes for naught.
One thing, let's don't forget, Kerry Watkins caught the touchdown pass to get into the overtime.
I was going to say, Kerry Watkins needs to keep his head up because he has made big catches and he'll be back.
The goalpost comes down. SportsCenter's next with reaction from Raleigh. For Jerry Punch, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Mike Tirico, thanks for watching this presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Your home for college football on the internet. North Carolina State 4-0 with an overtime win. Good night from Raleigh. SportsCenter is next.